Back to another day, another episode of the Daily Grind. I'm your host, 30NSG, and on today's show, we've got a lot of videos to watch. We're going to watch TheKingerd latest video called AAA Gaming is Finally Gave Up. We're going to watch real-life fake wizards. Sony is trying to trap you forever. And we're going to watch Rag Tagg's video of what the hell happened to Kingmaker. So those are the three things we're going to watch. And then I'm going to add another one to this if we have time, which is Bellular News. His came out, I think, late last night, but it's talking about, which is kind of pertinent to what we talked about yesterday about the Game Pass stuff, right? Because internally, people at Xbox said they don't like Game Pass because it devalues gaming. So we're going to watch Bellular's news if we have time. But before we get to all that, there was a thing I saw on Twitter, and I think Krebsy brought it up yesterday in our 30 and Still Gaming stream, talking about 7 PlayStation games have sold over 100,000 physical copies in the U.S. this year. Now, before I even get to this, I want to say good morning to everybody. What's going on, chat? Good morning. Because I get right involved in stuff sometimes, you know what I'm saying? So let me see who's all here. All Turn, Clips, good morning. Water Bear, Big Mo, Wonder Rose, Jesse Mack, Just Enough. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much, Wonder Rose, for the 1,000 jewels. I still don't know what jewels are. I think it's a mobile thing. Thank you very much for the 1,000 jewels. I don't know what that converts into. Is that $1? Is that $10? Is that $5? Is that $1,000? I don't know what it is, but thank you very much for the 1,000 jewels. Appreciate you. I appreciate everything, whatever YouTube wants to send me. If it's super chats, if it's gifted, if it's stickers, I don't know what they have going on over here on YouTube. They keep adding stuff. All right. So let me bring this back up here. It says just 7 PlayStation games have sold over 100,000 physical copies in the U.S. this year. Now, the reason I bring this up, right, because this is what the media does, right? The media, because they love telling you numbers now, right? They love telling you numbers now. When numbers actually matter, this is what they tell you, okay? So I just want the way it's framed. They're running this to tell you that, well, amidst the backlash of Sony's decision and production of discs, new PlayStation games from 2028 data for game sales in the U.S. show the dominance of digital stark terms, okay? 100,000 physical copies. Now, I'm going to frame something a little differently here, okay? Because they're just saying 7 PlayStation games have sold over 100,000 physical copies. Now, we went into the list here of best-selling PlayStation 5 games, okay? So as we scroll down over here, if you notice, we got the top 10 on here, okay? Now, obviously, Marvel Spider-Man sold 17 million copies, okay? Then we have Gran Turismo 7 that's got 8 million copies. Then you have EA Sports, you have Capcom, you have Game Science, you have Helldivers 2 at 5, right? You got Xbox Game Studio, Forza Horizon 5 at 5.3. We got God of War Ragnarok, Sony Interactive, and we have Ghost of Yotei at 4 million. Now, if I wrote an article, I could tell you that only 3 games on first-party title Sony games have sold 5 million more, right? That's it. 3 games have sold 5 million or more from Sony Interactive. You see how that works? We can reframe an article and put it up there, just like they did, right? Just like they did, and says just 7 PlayStation games have sold more than 100,000 physical copies in the U.S., but only 3 games have sold over 5 million copies or more this generation of PlayStation. So you might as well just chuck out the rest. They're all failures because only 3 games have succeeded over 5 million or more, right? Now, obviously, 5 million sales is good. But the point of me bringing this up is they have to twist the numbers to justify, right? To justify to you that the reason they're getting rid of the physical copies is because there's only 7 games that have, 100,000 physical copies. Not the total of physical copies across the board of all games have been sold. No, just 7 games have sold 100,000 copies or more. And this is why I hate when they talk about stuff like this, right? Because you can reframe the actual thing in any way you want. And you just have to trust me, bro, right? Obviously, I could look at this and say, well, Ratchet and Clank sold 3.97. That could be popular for them, but that's also didn't sell 5 million. So it's well, there's only 5 games, right? Or 3 games or 1 game that sold over 10 million units for PlayStation, which is pretty bad considering there's 93 million people that own a PlayStation. And only 1 game has sold over 10 million copies. Right? And this is why I don't like when they do Circana or analytics type of stuff, because they're not telling you the whole story. They're just trying to sell you something. They're trying to sell you why digital games are coming, and only digital games and no physical games. All right. So let's go from that to the first thing we're actually going to talk about, which is Kingerd's video, which is AAA Gaming finally gave up, right? AAA Gaming finally gave up. Mo says, let me scroll back up here for a second. You ain't lying between the First Descendant and Weathering Waves. I ain't sleeping. You've been playing a lot of those live service games there. What's going on, Kylo? What's going on, Jason? Good morning. Jason says, I don't believe that. You don't believe what? The stat that I gave you about only 3 games have sold more than 5 million, or the only 7 games have sold 100,000 copies physical? Because they're only giving you the stat, I believe, actually, let me bring up the article from IGN. I believe it's in the U.S., right? There are only 100,000 physical copies in the U.S. so far this year. Just want to say, morning, Roadkill. Aku says, at this point, we need a sunset physical MSM, and let AI take over, since the shill is so hard to digital only fair that they become all digital. These 7 games, only 100,000 physical. It's funny to me, though, that they don't tell you how many people bought physical copies. And what games? Is it just AAA games? Is it regular games? Like all games? They don't count used games, right? People buy used games all the time. Physical used games. All right. We're going to talk about a story later if we have time. I think we'll have time about Bellular. Right? So here we go. This is Kingerd. Kingerd's link's in the description down below. I had to do Rag Tagg's link a little different. It wouldn't pop up in his name, but we'll watch his video a little bit later about Kingmaker. But Kingerd here has a video called AAA Gaming Finally Gave Up. So we're going to watch this. Let's get to it.
Traveler from the past traveled to today and said, oh, imagine a time traveler from the past traveled to today and said, oh boy, I can't wait to see what new games are being released in 2026. What would they see?
Halo.
Relive these experiences again.
Okay.
Raise the black flag.
Black flag.
Again.
Both Black Ops 1
Black Ops 1 and 2,
they
okay.
are finally available.
It's a return to the feelings that we
Gears
had
of
when we
War.
played the original games.
It's like returning back to our roots and saying, yeah, we're back. This is Fox McCloud.
Right?
Players, you guys are hungry for new experiences.
Yes, new experiences, Keely. I love the way Kingerd is already establishing this, right? This is good storytelling here, right? Because if you were a time traveler and you came back, you would literally come back to the same stuff from 15 years ago. Everything that we saw 13 to 15 years ago is back and new again, and people are eating it up.
You want originality? Our first announcement, Resident Evil Veronica.
Yeah, there you go, another Resident Evil game.
Hey, I've seen this one. This is a classic.
Between full-blown
Another great editing.
remakes, games that aren't remakes but do promise to take more inspiration from games past, re-releases of games past, and updating newer games to look more like older games. It's 2026, but it feels like every other major announcement could fit right at home between the years of like 2007 to 2013.
100%. 100%. Because they can't make new stuff, because the new stuff is risky. It's risky. They can't make new things. They got to make old things that they know they've sold well.
Maybe even earlier than that. This speaks to a bigger trend, one where the biggest names in gaming have stopped asking for new ideas. Instead, they're asking, how can we remind players of the last time they were happy? Remember this? We're doing it again.
Yep.
What happened, games industry? Jabal's drop off? Well, they Certainly didn't wake up one day with an epiphany on how to get fans excited. No, they found a meta, and it's called nostalgia. And in some ways, this is actually good news, and in some ways, it's bad news, but both ways, it shows us exactly what's going on in this industry behind the scenes without them even having to tell us.
These people make me sick.
Let's get into it.
Kingerd will be on the 500th episode of GXG in a couple of weeks.
First, the good news, and that is that the industry is finally admitting what players have been telling them for years. AAA gaming sold its soul to shareholders over a decade ago, and it shows. Publicly traded companies needing profits to climb more and more and more, no matter the method, have fundamentally...
Yep, that's the corporate salute, right? The number has to go up. If it doesn't go up, well, then it's a failure. It doesn't matter how well, even though it made money, it didn't make enough money.
Changed game development, what games are greenlit, what games are denied, how they're monetized, that passion that you could feel from the other side of the screen with older titles that were made by just a group of gamers just trying to make something cool.
This is John, hard at work, right here. That's 3D.
It's gone. Either in the devs who are now
Top Suicide Squad developer says Flop made them not want to make games anymore. You just suck the fun out of it, right? It's like an analogy of, or an example of, like, kids are having fun, but then mom and dad come in to try to have fun, and then they really just kill the mood for everybody else. And all the kids are like, yeah, mom, dad, yeah, no, this is not it. And you just kind of kill the joy.
Glorified desk jockeys trying to outrun layoffs and peddle as many live service elements as they're told to, or it's in the suits who don't really care about passion. If the money's not right, you're getting laid off.
I gotta read this right? A little over 12 years ended, okay? The day before DLC launched, we all crunched to get out the door. Looking back on it all, it's a wild ride being there. It's just such a successful rebirth of the franchise. I got to have such a big role on so much of the 3 games that related to the DLC. I got to work on with some of the most talented people I've ever met. Got to see the engine innovation at the level and set the bar for benchmarking hardware, setting industry standards. When the engine was also it was also way to blowing up Unreal out of the water, especially in the visual effects side of things. The improvements made the visual effects pipeline for Doom, Dark Ages, were also orders of magnitude better than the previous 2 games and paced to get it even better. I'm still in shock on how brutal the layoffs cuts were. Collectively, decades of knowledge has wiped out of the studio. Visual effects team was also eliminated down to one single artist with no lead or producer. The engine programmer responsible for the massive gains of visual effects pipeline improvements, like all the practical editor work, was let go as well. All devs of the knowledge of procedurally modeling cache animations were wiped out, and all the work for Doom, the Dark Ages, in that program has gone to waste with no one to carry it on. It's crazy, huh?
Anyway, welcome to the world of business, boys and girls. Feel vindicated, feel reaffirmed because you were right. Older games were better. There's still some great modern AAAs.
Is that crazy? Is that crazy? We always say, I think the games were better back then. Everyone's like, no, the games are great over here. We're like, okay.
Of course, but the industry overall pivoting to selling more games under the premise that they'll remind you of older, better ones, whether they like it or not, is them acknowledging this. Not with a motive.
That's right. Making the older games again tells me the older games were better.
Of self-improvement, of course not. It's just a motive of money. But whatever, newer games being made to look like better games sounds great, right? There's just one problem with that.
I like that.
Newer games being made to look like better games sounds great, right? There's just
one problem with that.
One problem with that. They might be after the nostalgia of what they see when they look at old games, but they have no clue how to emulate what we felt when we played those old games. In gaming, nostalgia is a fond remembrance of games that you played when you were younger, but it's also remembering a time when gaming really wanted to impress you. Yes,
what he said there, right? Now, we've had this conversation before talking about, like, them raising the bar. We talk about the bar, and the bar just needs to get risen just a little bit more from the last thing that they created, right? So Batman is on the screen, right? The first Batman game set the bar. The second Batman game hit the bar and made it a little bit better from the last Batman game, and then so on and so forth, right? That's not what they do now. Now it's the minimal viable product, and how do we monetize it? Right? Back then, they try to innovate and make something better. Now, they try to not innovate, but let's make it look pretty. And how can we monetize that?
Handing over your money was exciting because you knew you were getting something made with you in mind. The game itself was the product, and it was designed to prioritize satisfaction over prolonged engagement and microtransactions.
Yes, make a game, sell a game.
It had stories and characters that were written to be layered, nuanced, and relatable. Games felt like whole products, not...
You know what it reminds me of? When I was a kid, I would take Optimus Prime and Megatron, and I would have a fight, right? The characters didn't move. They didn't do much of anything, right? The G.I. Joe figures, they had a little bendable action, right? But my imagination is what made those things awesome, right? Seeing the thing on the TV screen, the cartoon back in the day of Transformers, and then seeing the toy, and the toy in my head was like the graphics that we're looking at right now back then, right? We didn't need to see beautiful things and crystal clear 4K stuff. We saw it and we were like, oh yeah. The storytelling of the actual thing made your mind think it was better. We talked about this the other day with Halo when we said, this is what we thought Halo looked like when we actually played it. And now it actually looks that way.
More ways to more products. Even if they did have DLC, the base game still felt complete. Immersion was much easier. Exceptions aside, seriously, f Dead Space 3 for paywalling the trilogy's end in an add-on, thanks EA, and retention.
Let me rewind that for a second.
The base game still felt complete. Immersion was much easier. Exceptions aside, seriously, f Dead Space 3 for paywalling the trilogy's end in an add-on, thanks EA, and retention gimmicks like skill-based...
Don't worry, they would charge for bullets, remember.
Matchmaking were a fraction of what they are now. It's a nostalgia for the experiences themselves, sure, but also for the holistic way they were delivered, something most modern AAA games don't even bother trying to match. You want examples? I got them. Like when Call of Duty story beats happened in campaigns and sequels, not cutscenes for live service seasons.
Right. This is why Concord failed, because you had to wait for the story to continue. You couldn't just have an afternoon where you played the game and like played through the story. Nope, you had to wait every 2 weeks. Check back in.
When Halo dropped new lore in campaigns, not shop item descriptions. Wait, the Flood is back and it infected a Spartan? Well, that's new. Is it in a game where it's Chief's friend and they become a boss you have to fight? Sounds pretty dramatic. Sounds pretty cool, right?
It sounds pretty dramatic. Nope. No, it's not.
Right? Nah, just read about it in this description.
Yep, there you go. I didn't know about this, right? Let's rewind here. I didn't know about this, right? Sounds pretty dramatic. Nope, it's just a little paragraph in a DLC that you can, not DLC, in a microtransaction you can purchase.
Boss you have to fight? Sounds pretty dramatic. Sounds pretty cool, right? Nah, just read about it in this description for a $22 character skin. You want to know what Michael and Franklin have been up to since the events of GTA 5?
Yeah, I want to know. Big fan. I want to know. Where's that single player DLC they thought they were going to have? Oh, that's right. They didn't make it because the GTA Online sold so well and people just kept spending money on the shark cards. Wait, did they do something about this?
13 years ago? We'll just grind for or pay for DLC in GTA Online to see them in a couple cutscenes. Single player DLC? Not a chance.
Did they literally age them 13 years?
GTA Online to see them in a couple cutscenes. Single player DLC? Not a chance. It's canceled. Thanks to, you guessed it, the success of GTA Online and...
Yeah, congratulations, everybody. You want better video games, but you keep buying shark cards. You wanted Grand Theft Auto 6 8 years ago. Instead, you got it 13, 14 years later. Still haven't seen gameplay. And everyone bought it, and it's made $5 billion.
Rockstar wanting to put more of its resources there instead. There was a time when content available at launch was more of a bragging point than an excuse like it is now. Like, wow, look at how much this game has. You gotta buy this. And now...
Right now, yes, Palworld is 2 years old because of early access. But if you're a person that didn't play Palworld at all, and you came in and bought the game for $30 or cheaper right now, right? There is so much stuff in Palworld for the low price of $30 compared to, oh, look, what you have here and then everything we've added up after the fact. It's like, I'm sorry, what?
Now it's, oh, just wait a little bit longer, we'll add this thing that you want soon. And in some pretty hilarious and pretty recent news, Xbox has moved responsibility for the next Fallout game from Bethesda back over to Obsidian, who made New Vegas. And as a result, Avowed 2 is canceled. Oh no.
Yeah, it's like, oh well. Oh well. Nobody cares.
How's that for ditching new ideas to focus on games with IP power? Yeah, we've been pretty busy brainstorming Fallout 76 skins in the break room, and did you know Starfield has an 83 on Metacritic? Todd, it's been 8 years since Elder Scrolls 6 was announced. Get off your ass. So many different companies leaning into nostalgia at the same time, almost like market research is guiding them this way. How many times have you heard that a new game in an ongoing series is going to be a return to form? Just in the last couple of years alone.
Boots on the ground, return to form, it's your game, it's in the game.
Like a lost dog that wandered too far from home and finally realized, oh yeah, I had it pretty good back there, I should probably go back home. But unfortunately, this is not pushing them to be more creative. If anything, they've reached the end of their creative rope. As one of my commenters so finely put it, Ubisoft smashed the glass and hit press in case of emergency by releasing Black Flag Resynced, which put an A.
That's actually a really good example. I like that, the comment from one of his viewers. Let me rewind that. Oh, this is absolutely break the glass in case of emergency game, 1000%. Yeah, we fucked up. What do? We had Skull and Bones. We did it for 14 years. We got a government grant that we have to pay back. The game's not doing well. Shadows didn't do very well. All this stuff's not doing very well. And yet they're like, quick, put 15 studios on Black Flag, and people ate it up. 3 million copies sold or whatever it is, right? Because you like the old game and you wanted to play the new game version of that game, and it's good, so you like it and you're like, give me more.
The glass and hit press in case of emergency by releasing Black Flag Resynced, which put an AC game in the spotlight again that actually has mostly positive conversation surrounding it by just doing what older Assassin's Creed games did.
But put microtransactions in it now.
No number grind, most of the despised RPG elements in recent titles is gone. It wanted to remind people why they fell in love with the series, and it's apparently done that. I still don't support buying it because doing so funds Ubisoft's campaign against—
Absolutely. I agree.
Stop killing games, but I'm only one man. The best I can do is try to persuade others to join me.
Isn't that nice?
Still nowhere close to the sales of games.
Ooh, look at that. Black Flag, 20 million copies back in the day, 3 million copies now.
Games like Origins or Valhalla, but we'll get to why that is later. With Halo, it goes without saying, 14 years and they've still yet to put out a campaign as widely lauded as Bungie-era Halo, so they said screw it, we'll just do those games again. Call of Duty, nostalgia bait in Black Ops 7 didn't work. You guys like the Golden Age so much, here. We'll just make Black Ops 1 and 2 available on PlayStation 5. Battlefield 6, whoops, you guys didn't like our launch maps, call in the remakes. When you and me...
And it just keeps happening. It's just going to keep happening. Because they don't want to take the money because it costs them way too much to make, so they'd rather take something that was successful. Movie industry does it. Video game industry does it. They all do it, right? Hell, even TV shows. They bring back old sitcoms, do reunions, do a sequel, whatever it is, because they can't do anything new because they don't want to take risks. No risks, no reward. They don't want that. They want guaranteed money because they're putting way too much money into these video games.
And all of us were telling publishers that we wanted games to feel more like they used to. I don't think most of us meant we wanted the exact same games again.
And this is why I don't support remakes and remasters, because I already played those games, right? I already played those games. Make something new. Make something innovative. Do something different.
We've always had sequels and remakes, sure, but this is a massive trajectory change. The biggest announcements in AAA gaming right now are almost entirely nostalgia chasers. What we've been asking for is more like what Gears E-Day is selling itself as. We just wanted the philosophy behind old games back, not necessarily the same release schedules, you know? But they're not creative enough to take what worked and evolve it, they'd just rather give it to us again. If repackaging classic games with modern monetization to use goodwill—
Look at that. Got a character pack, naval pack, Hellfire pack, Sea Spartan pack, Dragonstorm pack, map pack.
Bill is a shortcut for selling micros feels disrespectful to you, it's because it is, to both you and to the games. Why is AAA gaming stuck in this time loop? How did we get here? Well, I'll tell you. It's no secret that pre-COVID AAA took players for granted with broken games, half games, and repetitive games. Then when COVID hit, the boom of people playing and spending money was so massive it was like they all struck oil. But post-COVID's AAA fallout is really something to behold. As with just about every industry crash that's ever happened before, the product buyers have set new terms and the product sellers are struggling to adjust. People aren't interested in gobbling up every premium game they can anymore, or they're not able to, and the games industry has taken far too long.
The only way, we've said this before, the only way it changes is if a massive amount of people stop doing what they're doing. If massive amount of people stop buying games day one, digital or physical, it will guarantee change the trajectory of what's happening, okay? Because they think because you bought games in the past, you're going to keep buying games in the future. That's not how being a customer works, right? And you're going to hear a lot of people now, okay, talk about customer or consumer, okay? And most of the people that play video games are consumers. Most people that watch movies are consumers, okay? There's no more customers. Customers, remember the term customers are always right? Well, consumers, they don't give two shits about you. They don't give a shit what you say or do because you're just a consumer. You're just going to eat up and buy everything they do. Why? Because where a customer knows the value and knows that they're in charge. This is why back in the day when an employer said customer is always right, they knew that if that person walked out the door, if it was one person, if it was 10 people, if it was 100 people, they were fucked as a business because those people made the money come in. That's just the way it was. But now it's like, well, we made this game, and because we made that game, now we made this game, and you like this game, don't you? You have to buy it. Keep consuming. Consume, consume, consume. We bought Marvel, Disney. Disney bought Marvel. Disney bought Star Wars. You like Star Wars, right? Well, here it is. We made Star Wars for you. Garbage. Consume it. What's wrong with you? Oh, you don't like it? You're sexist. You're racist. You're misogynistic. No, I'm just a customer. And if you don't want to buy or make something for me, then I'll go elsewhere. It's super simple. You make product, I give you money, I take product. That's it. Transaction done. Nope. They got to have their hands in it. Just a little bit more.
To try lowering their budgets, try appealing to the players more than the boardroom again. Budgets that might have made sense 5 years ago now just mean overhiring and overspending to the point of a near guaranteed financial failure no matter the quality of the game itself. One flop because they were aiming for a grand slam when they should have just been aiming for a double can cost any of these companies millions, hundreds of millions, rounds of layoffs, or complete studio closure. What this means is an industry that's constantly walking on eggshells can no longer afford to take risks. Shareholders demand predictability. There have been too many failures on the timeline to do anything.
They could take risks if they actually made a game. One of my main things in this, things I say on this channel is make a game, sell a game. Make a game, sell a game, right? You can make the most elaborate game you want. You can make the most minuscule game that you want, but make the game. Right? Don't put $400 million in a game and go, oh, well, that didn't work. Well, it didn't work because you did a minimal viable product. You put microtransactions behind everything, right? You put $80 microtransactions and you had a season pass and a battle pass and all these other things. You didn't make a game. You made a store with video game graphics.
But chase familiarity. And investing in just making a good game is off the table. To do anything but chase familiarity, and investing in just making a good game is off the table apparently. So they carve the skin off the corpse of a fan favorite and sew it up on a new project of theirs. But they've still got it all wrong. Riddle me this, if X-Defiance recognized
why did he
project of theirs, but they've still got it all wrong. Riddle me
why
this, okay. If X-Defiance recognizable brands and modern monetization was no doubt what got it greenlit, why did it still fail and shut down in under a year? Names can build hype, they can get attention, but it's the game itself that's gonna build the profits. How did that return to form on Dragon Age go? That series might actually be dead for a while. Risk management is now
a while? It's dead. Don't touch that. It's dead. The only thing they have to do now is reboot it. And that's what they're going to do, right? They're going to reboot it. Guaranteed. Remake, reboot, whatever.
playing as giving fans what they want, and it often leaves a bad taste in people's mouths.
Onion and ketchup. It stinks.
It's still funny to me that you can see a noticeable regression between what Ubisoft pulled from the original Black Flag and the new content they created themselves for it, yet we're still supposed to believe this is Ubisoft turning a new leaf or something. Whatever, man, I ain't falling for it. The game's...
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, Kingerd. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it.
Just good because the original's good, and I'll die on that hill. Of course, there are some exceptions. Like for me, I've wanted Capcom to try again with Code Veronica ever since I played through it, and they're still putting out original titles at the same time, so cool. I'm hyped for that.
That's true. They are doing new stuff, and they're doing remakes of the stuff, right? They're like, let's move it forward, but let's update the stuff in the back. That's one way of doing it correctly, the way Resident Evil's doing.
But I want to point out with this industry that sometimes inspiration from franchises isn't always just disingenuous skinwalking. Sometimes genuine inspiration is still there, just maybe not in name.
So this is Windrose, okay? Windrose is a spiritual successor, basically, right? These people loved Black Flag so much that they decided they were going to make Black Flag themselves because Ubisoft screwed it up so bad with Skull and Bones that these small team decided to make Windrose, right? And this is innovating. This is changing. This is taking risks.
So where might that be? AAA might have stopped taking risks, but someone else never did. When
That's
I
right.
think of today's gaming landscape and what excites me versus what enrages me, 9 out of 10 times, the ones that excite me are the games that are devoid of any popular IP, but
Yes, 100%. And this is where I've always been, right? Oh, that looks good. Oh, that's interesting. What is that? Right? Undetected, AA games, independent games. You look at all this stuff and you're like, oh, well, that's interesting. Let me see that. Because the customer that gets in and plays these games and pays for these games, gives feedback and likes it, and they're like, oh, I like that game. Oh, I'll buy more of it. I'll keep an eye out for that company when they're down the road. Right? And then that's how they become more successful.
they might still be taking inspiration from games past.
Sure.
War Dogs, Split Fiction, Windrose, Clair Obscur, all of these and many more seem to have taken up the mantle of how can we improve on what came before without the name of an IP to back us. It says a lot when an indie game
make a game, make a brand, make the thing.
Can be a better spiritual successor to an older game without even sharing a name in the title. Like with Pal World, Nintendo tried suing them, and long story short, Pal World's still cooking and celebrating its 1.0 launch. To many, it is a better Pokemon game than recent Pokemon games. Almost like understanding the appeal of a brand is more important than owning the name of a brand, and you can use that to deliver what customers actually want. So what happened to AAA gaming? Well, nothing confusing. They simply made it too expensive to create the next Halo, the next Call of Duty, so they'd rather just sell us the last one again. Not all remakes are bad. I'm not anti-remake. Not all resurrections of existing.
I am. For me, not against them doing it at all. I'm against it because I just don't like remakes. I already played it. So unless they completely change it and they just made it better graphics, I don't personally care, right? I own the original. I don't need to buy the new one. But that's just me. Again, I'm against it personally, not against it at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, they can make the remakes, but I'm not going to buy them because I already played the original.
Franchises are.
I don't need to go watch the remake of, they've never done it yet. They've tried a couple times, right? I don't need to watch the remake of Wizard of Oz. I'll just go watch the Wizard of Oz. You know, I don't need to go watch the new version of it. I didn't watch Total Recall, the remake. I watched the original Total Recall with Arnold, okay? I don't need to watch the new one with Colin Farrell, right? I watched the original Running Man. I haven't seen the new one. I don't need to see it.
Soulless. I'm glad publishers are finally realizing their products are inferior to the games we already love, but I don't want gaming to become this never-ending loop of revisiting the past, especially if something like Stop Killing Games fails and we get stuck in these cycles of shutting down games people buy to push them to newer versions or sequels that come out every few years. If the only way that AAA can succeed now is by reminding us how much we loved games.
The best way I can describe it with the original and the resync is the same thing with Combat Evolved with Halo. When we played the original, right, just like the analogy I did with the toys, right, in my head, those toys were alive. They were talking, they were fighting, they were doing all this stuff. The original, when we played it, that was the most beautiful thing you've played at that time. Whatever game it was, you're like, oh, this is amazing. And now they've just beautified it. They put makeup on it to make it better looking. And you're like, oh, wow, this is amazing. But nothing's wrong with the original besides graphics. The gameplay and everything is better. Right? I know someone's going to be like, well, no, actually, 30, the new one's better because it didn't need to be made. They could have made an original title.
Games back in 2009, then they're not going to be the ones to deliver the next generation of classics. Maybe those are being built by smaller studios, willing to risk failure in order to make something.
Here's what I'll put. What would you rather be? If you're a dev, right? Would you have liked to make the original Black Flag, or would you like to put it on your resume that you worked on the remake of Black Flag? You didn't do anything. You just redid someone else's work, right? As an artist, I would think you wouldn't want to recreate someone else's work. You would want to make your own work.
Worth remembering. And those effects are already being felt by the industry. If gaming feels stale to you, look past the loudest names. I guarantee you there's another Helldivers or Hollow Knight waiting for you. To see the effects I'm talking about of when people are snapping their wallets shut to the festering greed and distrust in this industry, click right here. Thank you, channel members and patrons. As always, thank you all for watching. Carry on, you kings.
There you go. There's Kingerd's latest video. Go over, give it a like. Here, give it a like, give it a sub. Okay, make sure you go check out his video. Go check out his channel. He's got a lot of good videos over there. A lot of good videos. Great. One of, in my opinion, one of the best editors, okay, of his own work. He doesn't, I know he hired an editor at one point. Didn't work out. At least I think so. Right? You can see when he's doing his own editing because there's just that, it's like his signature. You know what I mean? Does a very good job. One of the best editors out there on his videos. Yeah, it's crazy about the remakes, right? Them showing their hand, as it says, right? They finally gave up. They're just making the remakes and remasters. As Sarge said years and years and years ago, that this is the year of remakes and remasters because they don't have anything special. Right? You look at all the new games that come out, and they're like, well, new games of the actual, like, big companies, AAA companies. Very rare, right? Now, new companies that come up give you new games and stuff like that. But the original companies are like, oh, we're just going to go back to it. Nope, didn't make enough money. We got to go back to the other one. Imagine if you know, they made a different game than Gears. But nope, they keep going with Gears. Imagine they made a different game of Halo. Nope, keep making Halo, but not as good as the other Halos. All right. From that, we're going to go to Real Life Fake Wizard. Easy Trade says, I'm so tired of remakes. Yeah, I'm tired of remakes. I'm tired of remasters. I'm tired of every game that comes out is just a microtransaction store or live service game. It's like everything has some sort of battle pass, season pass, microtransaction store. And I've done this example before. It's like when you ever go downtown to whatever city you are, no matter where you are in the world, and there's a beggar that comes up to you and says, hey, can I have $1? Hey, can I have something? They didn't ask for anything. Like they didn't do anything for you. There's no window washing, making a painting, or anything. They just walk up to you and say, "Hey, can I have $1?" Right? And you're like, "Sure, I'll give you $1." And you give them $1. And then 5 feet later, someone else comes up to you and says, "Hey, can I have $1?" And you're like, "Yeah, sure, I'll give you $1." And you just keep doing it. And by the time you get to your destination, you got no fucking money left because everybody down the road wanted $1. That's how the game industry feels right now. Instead of just making a product and selling that product, everyone's just begging for one little thing here, one little thing there, one little over here. It's just like, holy Christ. When everyone does it, you're just like, Jesus, all right. I think I'm kind of done with it now. Clip says, I don't know why my name keeps being brought up about addiction to Pal World. I'm not even playing right now or something. Yeah. You're thinking about playing, though. You're thinking about playing Eclipse. Oh, I got the alpaca. Oh, no, I don't know if I had the fat one. But I did capture one, a mini boss in one of the cave systems yesterday. All right. Real life fake wizard has a video here called Sony is trying to trap you forever. This came out about 4 days ago. If you like it, go check out Fake Wizard's channel. He's got three different channels, I think. We're on one of them. We're on Fake Wizard News Wednesday nights with him and Tom and Isaac. So check that out Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. I think it starts. All right, here's his latest video. Sony is trying to trap you forever.
Hello there. I'm the real-life Fake Wizard. On July 14th, 2026, Crunchyroll, the anime streaming service, announced that starting in August of 2026, the Crunchyroll store stops being a store you could just shop from.
Again, another reason to hate Sony. They bought Crunchyroll, and now instead of a store that you have to walk in, basically you got to pay to walk in. They only want the classiest people to walk into their store.
The new shopping experience is exclusive to Mega Fan and Ultimate Fan subscribers. That means if you are on the base fan plan...
Oh, you poor broke bastard. You're on the broke plan. You don't get to walk into the store anymore. What's going on, Argus?
At $10 a month, subscribe to Crunchyroll, or you do not subscribe at all. You do not get to browse and buy from the Crunchyroll store. Now, to someone who might be out of the loop on this like myself, I am not an avid anime fan. The Crunchyroll store is a place to get physical media of anime, manga...
That's right, Argus. You broke degenerate scum. How dare you only pay $10? You think for $10 you could come into the Crunchyroll store and look at the stuff in the store? Ugh, get away from me, you peasant. That's what Sony thinks. Yeah, that's what Sony thinks.
And books, collectibles, exclusives, toys, clothing. It is a storefront to access a luxury hobby in the anime sphere. It will now cost you a Mega Fan subscription at the $14 a month price point to access this store. You have to pay them a subscription for the privilege of paying them again for a Blu-ray copy of your favorite show.
So before you even get to buy the stuff, you have to pay a membership to walk through the door to just browse. Holy shit. And this is why industries galore are falling left and right? Because of consumers. Idiotic consumers, not customers. You've given up the right to call yourself a customer, okay? You're a consumer because you just willy-nilly give them anything because you're like, oh, right? You just love it, right? And this goes for any big corporation. Microsoft, Nintendo, IBM, whatever, okay? Nike, okay? You just give the money, not because of a product, just because you like the brand.
They have positioned this like it's a gift to the community, that there would be curated drops of goods, convention-exclusive vibes.
Well, it's funny you brought up that, Eric, right? It's Costco, though, for great hot dogs. Now, the old buildings of Costco, you didn't need a membership. You could just walk up and just buy a hot dog. But now with Costco's new buildings they put the food inside. So now you can't access that food, right? So they're like, wait a minute, we're making money off people that don't have a membership. Let's put it inside. So they have to have a membership so they could buy a hot dog. It is Costco now. The newer Costco's.
You won't find anywhere else. Now, for all of those who don't know, Crunchyroll is a Sony service. Sony owns Crunchyroll in the same way they own PlayStation. And as we've discussed for the last few years, Sony has been working non-stop to make their platform more isolated and secluded.
Oh, it is, Saint. Buy the game, complete the raid, and now you have earned the right to give me $400 or $200 for the jacket.
More expensive than before. And as if we're buyers and sellers competing on a giant chessboard, they're acting in ways to specifically back their customers into a corner, force them into their sales apparatus, and then create environments that restrict them from ever leaving.
Right, this is the analogy we've talked about with mobile phone games, right? When you have to have a membership as well. Not if you know the right people. Not if you know the right people, Mo. I've never once shown my ID in the 15 years I've been going to this Costco Not once have I shown my membership at the window because the employee doesn't give a shit and they just take your money and they're making sales. Not once. Not once. Now, inside, you got to scan to get in. But walking up to the window, I'm dead serious. Not once have I ever shown my membership. Now, you might need it, but they don't care. They were making sales. And they're like, wait a minute. People are just coming here to eat for lunch. And they don't actually want to come and get the Costco membership, so they've now moved it in.
We've been watching it in video games and PlayStation accelerating it at a rapid pace, and now we're seeing what appears to be the next step in the form of this Crunchyroll change. Sony has built a toll booth on an aisle Sony already owns. You need to know about this, whether you're an anime fan or not, because this is coming to PlayStation next.
Probably.
Crunchyroll has 3 paid tiers in the United States as of right now. Fan is $9.99, Mega Fan is $13.99, Ultimate Fan is $17.99, all per month. Fan already gets you the library and the simulcasts with no ads.
Saint says, as I would sell a hot dog, who am I to fucking gatekeep a hot dog? Exactly, Saint. Right? Guy just wants a fucking hot dog. He's cutting grass outside. He's like, you know what? I got $1.50 in my pocket. I want to eat. I'm going to go to Costco. And they're like, here's your hot dog, sir. They're like, no, sir. You have to pay a membership to get in through the door so you can buy yourself a fucking hot dog at Costco. It's for members only.
Mega and Ultimate add multi-device streaming, offline access, Game Vault, and the bigger store discounts. Until August, anybody could still use the store, which is adjacent to those memberships. After August of this year, the store itself becomes a Mega and Ultimate perk. Gift cards work through August 14th, 2026. After that, you are talking to the helps.
It's crazy to me. Think about this in a physical store, like Costco, right? Like GameStop was like, imagine GameStop did this, right? You had to wait outside, and someone at the door was like, do you have a GameStop Power membership? And they're like, I do. And they're like, well, you can come in, sir. You now have the option to purchase something from our lovely store. And you're like, what do you have? I don't have. I just want to come and buy the game. I have the money, cash money in my hand. I just want to buy that game. Sorry, sir. You cannot buy any game in my store because you need a membership. Do you have a membership? You're like, no, I don't have a membership. Well, you're going to have to pay the $29.99 a month to get the access for me to open this door so you can then go buy the $70 video game. They're like, nah, I'll just go to Target. All right, I'll see you guys later.
Center about your leftover balance. Good luck with that. And beginning July 13th, a lot of items were noted to be going on final sale with refunds only if the product shows up damaged. And as far as we know, that refund point is going to stand permanently across the whole store, not just...
They'll only take a refund if it's damaged. You can't have buyer's remorse. You can no longer return anything unless it's damaged. So let me rewind that. Am I hearing that correctly? Or so damage it before you return it then, right? No?
13th, a lot of items were noted to be going on final sale with refunds only if the product shows up damaged. And as far as we know, that refund point...
If the product shows up damaged. Well, okay. So what I'm going to do, right, just going to drop it, elbow it, right? Go, hey, this is why it showed up. See, you have to go around the system. You can't opt in. You have to opt out.
Is going to stand permanently across the whole store, not just final sale items. Sales moving forward are going to be near final unless you can prove damaged deliveries, despite also paying a monthly price to access said store. Now, I can already hear some of you in the comments, Wizard, it's just merch. Who cares?
I never understood that thing. It's just merch. Who cares? The people that want to buy the merchandise, that's who cares. Maybe myself doesn't care. Maybe you don't care. But there should be people that care. They're like, wait a minute, why can't I buy this statue? Why can't I buy this other piece of merchandise? I I hate the hand waving of, well, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Who cares?
Subscribe if you want the toys, okay? Hold on to that, because this only makes sense if you pretend the Crunchyroll store is some boutique club that appeared out of nowhere. It did not. In August 2022, Crunchyroll bought Right Stuff. Right Stuff had been selling anime, manga, and discs to collectors since 1987. It was an open shop. No streaming membership required to check out. Crunchyroll's president, Rahul Parina, said that they were bringing the companies together so that fans could get even more of what they love. On October 10th, 2023, Right Stuff's site died and the catalog moved into the Crunchyroll store. Over 30,000 products.
Oh, only 30,000 products. But who cares now? Who cares?
Thousands of titles. What was once an independent aisle got absorbed into the platform aisle. And then the platform started squeezing you right around the neck area. December 3rd.
Hey, you're going to buy our stuff. And you're like, oh, okay. All right, I'm going to buy it.
31st, 2025. Free ad-supported streaming ends. February 2nd, 2026. Every US tier jumps about $2. Fan goes from...
Where's the outrage of this? Where's the outrage? Where's all the articles written of, raising the prices that much? Where is it? Right? Crunchyroll halts ad support.
25. Free ad-supported streaming ends. February 2nd, 2026.
Looks like Alex Mato here is the only one reporting it.
Every US tier jumps about $2. Fan goes from $8 to $10. Mega goes from $12 to $14. Ultimate from $16 to $18. Existing customers had to start paying this new rate as of March 4th of 2026. Jumping to May 8th of 2026, Crunchyroll...
21 million subscribers. Who cares, though? Who cares?
Brags about 21 million paid subscribers worldwide, up from 17 million users the fiscal year before. And that's funny, because just a few months prior, in March of 2026, layoffs hit HR,
amazing,
product, and e-commerce, and reporting tied it to a shift in e-commerce strategy. Funny how these companies see record profits, revenues, and subscribers,
and they have to fire people. Let them go.
Accounts, but need to keep making cuts.
That's right.
And that brings us to July.
They just can't afford these people when they make all that money. They're like, we have all this money. What are we going to do with it? Oh, wait, we have to give it to these people? No, we'll just keep it for ourselves. Let's just fire 200 people.
14th, where we see the announcement that the store is going members only for the 2 expensive plans. Do you see the pattern? This is not a company struggling, nor have they gotten smaller and or desperate.
No, this is, I meant to say this earlier, but I lost track because we were talking about Costco, right? This is that mobile app experience where you buy when you play a free-to-play game on a mobile app, right? One of our members did this, right? He tried it and did it live on chat when we were talking, right? He paid $1, okay, for a mobile game, like inside the mobile game, paid $1. And then right after he paid for $1 it was when we were playing Marvel, I think we were playing Marvel Revolution, I think it was, right? Like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. He paid $1, and when he paid the $1, it all of a sudden pinged him and said, hey, do you want to buy this? And then it was $5, and he did it again, and it went, and it came in, it was like 10. It's placing you. It's going, oh, you want to spend $1? Well, maybe you'll spend $5. Oh, you spend $5? Well, maybe you will spend $10. So on and so forth, and they just categorize you in that program. That's what they're doing here. They're like, oh, if you're willing to pay the $17, well, then maybe you'll pay for the highest tier. Then this is the people that can only shop in the thing, right? We have more people that are paying in $10, and they're like, well, we want those people to pay more money because we don't want them to pay $10. We want them to pay $20, right? So they move it up to the 2 bigger tiers, the $15 and $18 tier, whatever it is.
Okay, Sony won the anime streaming race. They got bigger, richer, and more concentrated, and now they're locking the doors, and the building's on fire. And that brings us to the point where we have to call it what it is. Sony is an anti-consumer company.
Yeah, thank God that fence was between him and the Raptor.
Making someone pay $14 a month for the right to spend more money is anti-consumer. It is a tax on access. But what does anti-consumer mean, right? A lot of people use that phrase when talking about companies like Sony and Nintendo. Well, anti-consumer is not a company charged more money, okay? Companies charge money. That's commerce. Anti-consumer is when a company rearranges the deal so that your options shrink, your ownership gets weaker, your exit gets harder. The only path left,
You got to opt out. You automatically opt in.
runs through their reoccurring billing system.
Lewis, what's his name? The guy who does the videos. He owns his own repair shop type of stuff. Lewis, I forget his last name. Okay. He just talked about this. He's like, it's bullshit. It's bullshit that they can just change the rules after you sign a contract, right? Terms of service, you signed, but then they change it afterwards. And they're allowed to change it over and over and over and over and over. And you have to accept it. But if you did that, you would be sued to Kingdom Come.
It is when the product you think you bought can disappear because a license expired. And specifically, we're not seeing just a store going exclusive. This isn't Costco
Rossman, thank you, Dustin.
offering bulk discounts. We are watching a method being played out on platforms, plural for platforms, where Sony is raising the cost of staying inside the apparatus, killing the alternatives that allow you to leave and dare you to walk away from a hobby you've already sunk money and decades of time into. This conversation is bridging.
Here's the way I look at it. If they're going to take your shit away from you anyway, then you don't have a library. So it's real easy to switch right now, right? If you have all digital stuff, you know you don't own it. So it's real fucking easy to just move over to a different platform where you could own it. Right? You know what I'm saying?
Gaps between anime fans and video game fans. And so let's examine some of the timeline of these movements Sony has made. The first thing they have to do, and the first thing they've done, is discourage physical media and physical access. Sony bought a controlling stake in Funimation in 2017, then fully acquired it in 2022. They bought Crunchyroll in 2021 and merged both together a few years later, leaving
we covered this on GXG.
Crunchyroll as the main commercial point of access for streaming anime. Okay, so that's a hint of monopolization, right? And as we said earlier, Crunchyroll bought Right Stuff in 2022. That store was historically one of the largest retailers of physical media in North America. And that is the same store, fast forward, that is being paywalled to access now. So right here, just in anime and manga, we see massive concentration into one space that will punish you for leaving because you lose everything. If we turn our attention to gaming, there's a lot more data there to look at too. November 2025, PlayStation rolls out variable priced gaming, meaning they can charge me.
That's fine. Who cares, right? This could be the answer to everything. Who cares?
A lower price and you a higher price based on studying our spending habits. Obviously, this is intended to eventually encourage you into habits of spending more money, by the way. Think about it. They start off with games that I might see at $40, but you see at $25. Maybe next time a different game is $27. Next is $30. Next is $35. And you're buying all of them because they're so much cheaper.
Right. What we were just saying about the mobile stuff, right? On a bigger scale, because you paid $1, they know they'll test the waters at $5. Because you paid the $5, they'll test the waters at $10. Sony, Xbox, Nintendo will all do the exact same thing down the road when he's talking about Crunchyroll, but in general, if you paid the price of $35 for this game, they're like, oh, well, the next time a game around that same quality comes out, we'll see if he pays $40. We'll see if he pays $45. Meanwhile, on my machine, it would be cheaper because I don't buy those games, so they want to intrigue me, right?
Give into the dark side of the game. It is your destiny. Sony and digital is the only way. Don't make me destroy you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Tell Darth Vader I'm okay. Thank you very much for the $2 super chat. I'm sorry, the $5 super chat. $5 super chat. Thank you very much, Aku. Yeah. Tell Lord Vader I'm okay.
And maybe after 2 more, they start putting their sale prices at $40 or more, considering how much they've dynamically priced you into conditionally spending more money.
Right.
And this works in reverse also. You may price yourself into cheaper selections, but the strategy overall is to condition you into spending more over time. March 2026, PlayStation rolls out a secret online DRM check for digital purchases that don't deliver you a digital license at the point of purchase.
Remember when people were like, just sign up. It's no big deal. Just sign up. Just do it. Just sign up. It's not a big deal. You do it every time. All right. Yeah, settle down, consumer. All right, settle down.
Meaning, your console must connect to the internet after purchase, after installation, but before booting the game that you've bought. This one's ridiculous. You can buy a game at $70, install it, disconnect from the internet, and not be able to access your game.
Yep.
Oh, it's just a check. No, it's not. It's control. June 2026. PlayStation delists 551 movies from customer libraries in the UK and Europe after refusing to renew licenses with the production companies. Meaning 551 movies that people bought with intention to own.
Yeah, gone. 551 movies, gone. You bought, you paid for it. Maybe you didn't buy all 551, but if you own 10, 15 of those films, because you're like, you know what? I'm going to get rid of my physical collection because digital is the way to go, right? And then you buy the 10 videos, the 15 videos, the 20 videos, and you're like, man, I own these. This is so great. I don't have a cluttered shelf space anymore. Sony comes in and says, oh, by the way, we've lost the license, and you have to lose them as well. We're going to take those from you. Thank you very much for your business.
Lost their purchases with no reimbursement and no alternative. Yes, on PlayStation, you don't own anything. Buying anything on a digital store grants you a digital license, which can be revoked at any time for any reason. July 2026, PlayStation will end the PlayStation 3.
That's right. PlayStation 3 and PS Vita, they're like, hey, you know what? There's a lot of people still buying stuff over there. How do we get this price going up to get more? Well, maybe if we cut them off completely, they'll move on maybe to the next iteration of it. Maybe. Oh, what's that? Oh, it's no one's buying $800, $900 systems? Okay.
PlayStation Vita storefronts entirely. If you don't get those digital goods before July 2027, which we just said you don't really own, you won't be getting them legally again. July 2026. And the big one here, PlayStation will no longer be shipping physical discs starting January 2028. Retail stores will continue selling empty boxes that have downloadable codes inside of them. Are we living in clown world? Because it feels like we're living.
We are living in clown world, Fake. We are.
In clown world. This choice to kill the disc market was explained by Jason Schreier's Bloomberg report that first-party games like God of War and the Horizon series, well, when they retail for $70, Sony keeps roughly all $70 if they sell it on.
Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Good for the company. Good for the company not sharing the progress of what video games are. You know, making something, putting it in a store so other stores get a cut, and the economy actually moves and changes, and people actually have things. Imagine that. No, let's just keep it all for ourselves. Appreciate you.
On their digital store. But physical editions, they take home $40-ish after retail and manufacturing. They take home even less on third-party titles from companies like EA and Ubisoft, meaning that the decision to kill physical media can be explained away as just better margins. Customers do not benefit from a single one of these changes, whether it be in anime or gaming, and Sony doesn't care that you might care. According to Schreier, Sony is banking on you eventually accepting that everything is digital now. You will be, more or less, corralled into a corner, and you'll be trapped because you spent so much time and so much money participating in this ecosystem, they think you won't be able to see other alternatives as viable options. Think about it. If you own 50, 100, 150, something obnoxious, if you own even one game on PlayStation, the likelihood of you wanting to leave is low. And you see, none of this was done overnight.
Yeah, but you don't own them. Just Enough says, what thing? If I go to PC, right? Obviously with single-player games and the non-live service games, but the games that you can actually play, that they can take from you at any time, that are single-player games, don't need online access or anything like that, but they still delete it from your account and they're all gone. On PC, you could 100% in other ways keep your game. You could download it. You can put it on a disc. You can do a whole bunch of stuff. Legal and unlegal ways. There are digital rights management on PC. Right? There is no digital rights management for any digital stuff anywhere else except on PC. Right? Remember, I'm the one that told you that you're going to buy games until you can't, and it's going to all go to the cloud. I stand by what I say because that's 100% where it's going to go. You think it's going to end at just the digital sales? Please. Right? Because the digital sales are going to go down further and further, and they want the subscription model. You see what they're doing with Crunchyroll? Right? That's exactly what they're going to do, like Wizard said, for the other ones, for video games. They'll just condense it. They'll be like, oh, yeah, all these games are on PlayStation Plus or whatever system they have. Oh, you don't pay that price? Sorry, can't access that.
Sometimes it's inches, sometimes it's centimeters, but it's all going in the same direction where you pay more.
If I can't own, right? If I can't own anything on the consoles and I can't own anything on PCs, but the PC is still the Wild West, right? It's still open where people can do things. Right? PlayStation wanted people to buy PlayStations because you can't play their games on PC. Oh, oops. Somebody is literally hacking into their games and making them playable on PC. Imagine.
It's centimeters, but it's all going in the same direction where you pay.
If they're not going to respect the customer, then why does the customer have to respect the business? It works both ways. It works both ways.
More, own less, and can't leave. So what do? What are we supposed to do? Because boycotts in the comments don't work. Ratioing a tweet does not work. A petition can hit 300,000 signatures, and if you're in the United States, that means nothing. Sony executives will see it and laugh at you. Schreier already noted in his Bloomberg report, Sony believes their digital base is big enough on PlayStation. Loyalty is strong enough.
Oh, yeah. We already talked about this a couple weeks ago, Argus. What's going to happen, I'll rewind this in a second. What's going to happen is they're gonna retract the physical stuff. But what's going to happen is physical games are going to go dramatically up in price because now there is going to be a scarcity. Okay, so what they're going to do, at least in my opinion, is that they will make physical games still. But the physical games now, when you have to pre-order, now you have to get it. Now it'll be scarcity. Now it'll be scalpers buying the games ahead of time because they know that there's only a limited number of games that can be bought, okay, but scalped, right? And now people will buy those games. And now if you're a physical person that wants to buy physical, you're going to have to pay premium price. You're going to be paying deluxe prices, gold, platinum prices type of stuff instead of just buying the game. And why does this happen? Because they made it. Make the problem, sell a solution. Oh, you don't want to pay $150 for your physical game that we've made inflated because of the way we're doing stuff? Oh, well, there you go. Instead of Sony going, how many people would like to buy this physical? And people go, I'll buy it. And they get 100,000, they get 1 million, they get 2 million, whatever it is. They're like, all right, reserved. That would be something a company would do if they liked their customers. They'd be like, all right, we hear you. We pre-ordered it. No scalpers can get you. We've got you. You told us you're going to buy it. We're going to make it for you and then sell it to you. That's not what they're going to do.
The angry boycotts in the comments don't work. Ratioing a tweet does not work. A petition can hit 300,000 signatures, and if you're in the United States, that means nothing. Sony executives will see it and laugh at you. Schreier already noted.
Mr. Luke, you know that's going to happen. You know that's going to happen. If you go right now to a convention or a place that sells old school games, they know. They know how many games are in circulation because they know how much the print run was, right? So this could be one of, right? You don't know what number it is, but they're like, yeah, this is a real rare item. People pay $800, $900 for a shitty game back in the day because they want to complete their collection. It's exactly what's going to happen now, but worse.
In his Bloomberg report, Sony believes their digital base is big enough on PlayStation. Loyalty is strong enough. The angry minority is small enough to lose. And if they think this about PlayStation, then they for sure think the same way about Crunchyroll. Let's play this out. Sony put a membership on the Crunchyroll store. Okay, so that incentivizes people who aren't subscribed but purchase the physical media to be forced to subscribe and stream instead, and or keep buying physical media. They still need to subscribe. It also incentivizes the people who are subscribed on a lower tier to move up to get access to the store again. Every part of this is intended to move you those inches along until they have a little more control. The only thing that changes...
Companies keep doing this until you break, right? Until you break. Again, this is not a Sony thing. This is a industry thing. This is a corporation thing. They keep doing the same thing until they break. They break you. And you're like, ah. And when someone comes in and says, well, that's just the way it is. They broke you. You're broke. Okay? Not broke money-wise. You're broke mentally-wise, right? They've broke you down fundamentally where you say, well, it doesn't matter. It's just what it is, right? If you're one of those people, they've broke you. It's what it is.
A trap like this is money stopping, not cosplay outrage, not I'm very upset tweets, closed wallets. Corporations don't respond to outrage. They want you to think they listen, but that's all part of the marketing. They don't care what you have to say.
Nothing. The only thing they listen to is money go up, money go down. Money go down? What do we do? All right, well, reverse that. Oh, money go up? All right, say it right there.
They don't even like you. They're not your friend. They will take your money, though. So should you stop giving them your money? Well, then they'll be forced to listen to you. Will it happen? No, not at the scale required. Normies do not read the FAQ or terms of service updates.
No, normies don't. And this is why myself and other people talk about it. Because if one person comes in and has never heard about this before or sees anything, and they happen to take the blue pill, okay, then maybe they wake up, right? But most people don't, right? I'm not telling you how to spend your money or what to do. I'm giving you information that you have more information in your head now to make the choices that you want to make. And if you're okay giving the corporation the money that you have for shitty products, minimal viable products, broken, buggy products, then by all means, keep giving your money to these corporations across the board, okay? Nothing will change if you keep giving them the money because you're going to be playing Grand Theft Auto 6 for the next 20 years. You're going to be playing Elder Scrolls Online for another 4 or 5 years until the next Elder Scrolls comes out because you keep giving them the money because you're enjoying yourself, but yet they keep giving you a shittier, worst product, okay, because they don't have to give you the good product anymore because you're accepting the slop on the plate.
Super fans will rationalize everything away. They'll just rationalize all the upsells. And hardcore fans are already sunk into the hobby. And Sony knows all of this. That is why they built the corner to back you into this way. The people most capable of hurting them are also the people most addicted to the product.
Yep.
And that doesn't make another solution real. It just means the real solution is the one almost nobody will do. Stop paying. Buy elsewhere.
They won't because they don't know. You know how people don't know the difference between 30 and 60 or 720 and 1080p and 2K and 4K? Is because they don't know. Because they're not educated. They don't know until they know. And the only way they'll know is when more people talk about it and say, hey, you know your television set's not at 4K right now. Well, I was sold a 4K TV. You know you're not doing that correctly, right? Well, yes, I am, because that's what it says. The least educated people, and I'm not calling them stupid in any way, shape, or form. It's just people don't know, so they don't care. So you have to make them care. You have to let them know, so maybe they do care.
While elsewhere exists, it won't for long. They backed you into the corner on purpose. The only way out is not buying at all. Until next time, create, innovate, inspire, and cancel your Disney Plus subscription. And also cancel PlayStation Plus. And probably Crunchyroll. Sony deserves to burn. This company has done worse than anything I could have imagined. I spent a lot of time criticizing Nintendo in 2025, and everything I've seen from Sony over the last 2 months tops everything bad that Nintendo did last year. I can believe it.
You can
believe it. These companies just keep getting worse. Goodbye. Have a good day. Oh, man.
There you go. Give it a like. Give it a sub if you like his stuff. Go over, check it out. The Real Life Fake Wizard. He does good videos. Just another person out there trying to open people up and being like, "Hey, look, listen to this. This is what's happening around you. If you care, you care. If you don't care, then keeping your head in the sand and be that ostrich." All right. Argus says, I'm sure going to be trying to grab all the most favorite games in physical form in the next few months before I lose my chance forever. Complete in-case game price is going to be $800. Yeah, well, just make sure the games you buy also don't need online access. Because if they need online access and stuff like that, then there's really no point to buy the physical. Roadkill says, put your money in gold and silver. That's where the real money is. It's a really good idea. Saint says, I prefer 60 NSG over 30 NSG. Just saying. Well, I'll be there in 12 years. So I'll be there. Paper says, listen to that fake wizard. That's right. Just call them ignorant? Sure. Whatever you want. If someone gets upset because I said they're uneducated or they're stupid, I mean, they're just what it is. Roadkill says, no, I'm definitely calling those people stupid. It's just, you don't know yet, right? You don't know if you don't know. You got to let them know. Justin Up says, stupid means that they're dumb. Ignorant means just not knowing. Well, if they're stupid, then they don't know I'm calling them stupid. Right? Because if I call them stupid, that means they're dumb. And if they're dumb, they don't know what I'm talking about. I just want them to look at Mike, not even going to play them. So it's fine anyway. All right, well, there you go. Well, here's a way you could do it. I know you're saying like a piece of art, like you're holding it like you own this picture, right? I would just say take a picture of your screenshot, print it out, put it in a frame, and go, that game used to be what I used to play. Travis says, problem is most of the ostriches don't care what you call them. They don't care even if you say the consumer or customer. They roll their eyes and move on, right? Because they don't care because they don't know. Alton says, if you want to put my money in gold and silver, I'd rather have a girlfriend. Basically the same thing. No, she could just take everything just like Sony. She could take everything just like Sony. Rod says, I wonder how much a GTA 6 empty box will be worth. Roadkill says, and if they're too ignorant, then they're even more stupid. Saw a cool ad about framing your game cases and discs. Put them on the wall. Can you send me a link? Because I actually wanted to do that. I wanted to put like a whole wall up here, like right here. But I don't know how to put the cases. I don't want to put them in a frame. I want to put them in like a thing where it like locks in, but you can see them still. I bet you someone with a 3D printer created something like that. All right. So, Justin says, Sony wants everything. She'll only get half. That is true. That is true. You do get to keep half of your stuff. All right. This is a short video. This is from Rag Tagg. This was put in by, I believe, Brain Eclipse in our Discord. And this is about Kingmaker. Okay, it says, what the hell happened to Kingmaker? Okay, we haven't seen Kingmaker in quite some time. It was supposed to come out in a demo at some point and never came out in a demo. So if you guys like what we do, we have conversations. We have conversations about gaming topics. We talk about videos, YouTube videos, break them down, of the topic and whatnot. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. All right, here we go.
One of the most hyped early access launches crashed and died before being born after a trailer that captured the imaginations of millions. That's what happened. Or was it? Because there are signs that Kingmakers still may arrive in 2026, or...
You know, the more I look at this game, and now that I'm playing Pow World, I'm not saying I want this to be Pow World, because obviously you're not collecting old soldiers and stuff. But the system in Pow World, you know what I mean? Like, where you have to do so many things, you can unlock certain things, and then you can create, because obviously there's some sort of mechanic that you're going back to the futuristic city where you can upgrade your weapons, get different vehicles, different things. I wonder if there's like some sort of scaling that happens, you know, as you kill certain amount of guys or knights or in a certain time period. Like you're farming the guys, than farming an actual resource, you know?
The demo will. I have been scouring through the bowels of Discord where the angry, the disappointed, and the genuinely curious have been questioning the developers directly, and we finally have some answers about where things stand, because I also have been in direct contact with the game director himself, Paul Fish. They are just not quite the answers I expected, but before we get to them, let's quickly recap, because remembering the drama will help us decide what we...
No, I'm on normal.
We can actually trust going forward. By the way, you're going to be seeing some gameplay from the dev's previous game, Road Redemption, so...
Dude, is this a remake of Road Rage?
I'm just not looping the same trailer footage again non-stop. Now, in February 2024, the trailer dropped with an idea that had been floating around the mind...
Man, I played the original game of this that he's showing in the background here. I used to go to Best Buy all the time. They used to have a demo. And I would just constantly play the demo.
Of men for years going back.
They lost the sale for me. They lost the sale for me because I never bought the game. I just played the demo.
To the 1400s and fighting medieval armies with modern weapons, guns against swords, riding motorbikes, hopping into cars like a medieval GTA, and even having tanks charging into enormous battles, with the developers claiming if you can see it, you can destroy it. Huge creators covered Kingmaker.
I mean, this game just looks like a good time a couple times, you know what I mean? Right? A couple times. Like, this is not a game that you're putting 1,000 hours into. This is a game that you're going to probably get bored, because if there's no mechanics, it's just running around blowing up shit. You're going to have fun with friends and stuff like that. But we don't know any of the substance yet. We don't know of the meats and bones of this.
And over the next 2 years, it would be wishlisted 2 million times on Steam. The trailer also teased
Road Rash. That's what it was. Road Rash. Is a spiritual successor to Road Rash?
The mystery of the future our hero had come from. Why were floating cats dropping human skulls into an abyss? What future needed
Well, see, that says it, right? So if you need skulls, that means you have to kill a shit ton of people and then take these skulls back to your current timeline as a currency. And then you have to collect, and that will unlock certain things. I'm assuming that's what it is.
So badly that someone had to be sent back into the distant past. The game release was given the broad window of 2024, and so we waited. The months passed with no firm date arising, and people became nervous as the year almost drew to a complete close. Then in December, the developers pointed towards Q1 in 2025. So sometime before the end of March then, right? March arrived, and Paul admitted that Q2 was more likely now, with May 2025 being their internally aligned target for early access anyway. But then May moved to October 8th, and only 5 days before that release, another kick in the balls. The developers announced that they would not be launching the game. Worse still, they didn't even give us another date. No month, no quarter, no year, just...
I personally don't think they need to, right? I don't think they need to tell us. But the problem with this is they showed so much and were hyping this game up so much that they said there was going to be a demo, and then all of a sudden it went completely quiet, which makes you wonder, is the game real? Okay, and if it is real, what happened? Right? Did you show it way too early and it wasn't ready, and now you pulled back? I don't know. Can you bring it back now and hype it up again?
Coming soon. What's crazy to me is that the Kingmakers trailer was nominated at the Golden Joystick Award.
Oh, that's right. Most anticipated game.
And it also has the rights bought out for a movie. All of this and still...
Rights for a movie. Holy Christ.
Still no game? It is natural for some to then assume that Kingmakers doesn't even exist at this point, but if that is the case...
Right. That's exactly right. To go from... I remember that they had the rights for the movie and stuff. We talked about that on GXG as well, right? We were excited about this, and I was like, yeah, this game looks just like a fun, good time. But then right before it was supposed to come out in early access, they were like, oh, sorry, can't do it.
Then take a look at this. Fresh off the Billy World Expo in Shanghai, it appears that
So apparently it's a game. They got people playtesting it.
Kingmakers
at an expo.
Had some serious presence there, and we've got just the tiniest sliver of footage of people playing an actual build of this game, but I will come back to this shortly. The original delay announcement made Kingmakers sound almost completely finished. It actually sounds like they had it all working. Tens of thousands of men with their own pathing. Models that don't become proverbially skeletal until you interact with them, which is such a cool way to get the large-scale battles running on mid-range machines, by the way. And an interesting comparison we've got here from the devs. They were saying before that it isn't a fake battle like in Dynasty Warriors, which... if you've played that game, you know that the AI can be absolutely dog shit because it works like a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie where they're only going to attack you one at a time. So it's good to see they've got confidence in their systems. Now, in the announcement for the delay, they mentioned that if you build a lumber mill, you can run around inside it and it becomes a true part of the battlefield.
We currently have tens of thousands of soldiers, each of the AI pathfinding a rival. They would also expect AAA third-person shooter. When we walk around away from the battle, it continues to play out. Nothing is fake. We have giant 6-story castles where the room and enter the wall, floor, and ceiling destroyed. When they build a lumber mill, it's a real place. It can be entered or in an enemy invasion turn into a combat area. Okay, but what is the lumber mill for? Here's my question. If I build a lumber mill, obviously it produces lumber. If it's just a building that I can destroy, what's the point of building the lumber mill, right?
Of a decorative hovel. And sure enough, I've got some video footage here of one of the buildings where there is indeed a player character running around inside, and
that's not a lumber mill.
It's not completely empty either. At one point, he takes his sledgehammer out and smashes up the furniture just to stick it to the landlord. Well, this is a capture of a capture, so the quality of this is degraded. Sorry about that. At least we have proof of concept that was dropped in April on a Steam community post by Paul. What I particularly like here is the destructive elements where the shattered pieces...
Great, but why? Why do I have a player house here? What does it do?
It's satisfyingly scattered. It's great. We've also got some...
Am I finding stuff in here? Do I need to find stuff to upgrade stuff? Like, you can see a little bit here that it says mission until next attack.
Dust afterwards too. I'm really liking this attention to detail. But here's what we haven't had yet since the announcement. The fulfillment of a promise of a...
I have a question. Just a quick question about this game that he's showing right here. You're on a motorcycle. You're on a motorcycle, right? Why is there a rear view mirror up on the top? And why isn't there 2 mirrors on the sides? I mean, I know maybe a lot of you don't care, but what the fuck? We're not in a car. We're on a motorcycle. They don't have rear view mirrors like that. Otherwise, you'd be just looking at yourself. And there's no, like, thing hanging up here. Okay? Why are there 2 mirrors on the fucking sides? Who missed this in developing this game? They're like, hey, let's make a motorcycle game, but let's put a fucking rear view mirror in the center.
Half-hour gameplay deep dive. In October 2025, we have the words, very soon. Now, I know that these guys are traveling through time, but for the rest of us, time is linear, and very soon surely does not mean the time...
Hold on a second, let me rewind this.
In October 2025, we have the words, very soon. Now, I know that these guys are traveling through time, but for the rest of us, time is linear, and very soon surely does not mean the time that it takes for a baby to be made from wedding bedding to popping out a mama 9 months later. It is frustrating to not know from a potential customer's POV, but the words we've been hearing again and again... are to do with polish before they feel comfortable charging money for it. If you make a banger of a trailer and then continually pull away from committed release dates, a certain number of people are going to be upset. And by upset, I mean they post vitriolic hatred towards the devs. And while I am all...
Constructive criticism is one thing. Like, why the fuck do you have a mirror in the center of your screen, not on the sides of the screen? That's constructive criticism, okay? I'm not going to be like, I'm going to kill you because you put that mirror there. That's just absurd. Do you know what I mean? Like, why would you say something like that, right? They just don't know how to speak, right? Because they're probably morons and idiots.
For spirited feedback.
Not the devs, the people that are threatening the devs.
I think some of it's just been pretty brutal. I'm not going to show it here for obvious reasons. I'll show you some of the tamer stuff, but expressing disappointment, I think that's fine. There's just no excuse for some of the things I've seen online, but it does go to show, however, that this...
Yeah, Kingsmaker exclusively on PlayStation, and you have to pay for the higher tier.
Despite the uprising of the peasants with their pitchforks, and they probably got doki profile pictures on Discord, there is a passionate fan base who were eagerly awaiting this game, and there have been interesting moments where people asked for updates after radio silence and actually got a reply. Man, I was so interested in the game, but the fact that there is more or less zero info updates for the last half year seems like BS. So you are asking us to give another release date, which if then we miss, everyone will freak out about, which is why we haven't given a new release date. I don't know why I gave...
Why did he give him that accent?
Paul's voice, a constipated Gandalf, but it felt right for the situation. As you can imagine, there were some unhappy chappies with Paul's reply, but at least we got one revealing interaction when asking just how complete the game was minus bugs. 70 to 80% as a guess. So the next...
70-80% of the game is done, minus the bugs, and yet they didn't put it out in early access to like other games have done. Maybe applaud that because they didn't put it out. But at the same time, if your game is 80% complete, why were you promoting it? Do you know what I mean?
Question that one might reasonably ask is, hey, if your game isn't fake and we're talking early access, why not just launch it right now and fix it later? Well, I don't know if that is reasonable or not, but it turned out...
I don't know if it's reasonable, but in this state of the game industry, that's what people do, right? They're like, hey, Power World came out 2 years ago. It was incomplete and unfinished. They've added a shit ton of stuff, right? Baldur's Gate 3 was in early access for 2 years. Right? Fallout 76 came out. It was gold and was in fucking pre-production for 5 years.
It was addressed by Paul in November last year, where he said, you guys think we're going to refocus production...
Did I say Fallout 6? 76. I don't know if I said the 7.
...to improve Boner 999...
Hold on, let me back up here.
Well, I don't know if that is reasonable or not, but it turned out it was addressed by Paul in November last year, where he said, you guys think we're going to refocus production to improve Boner 999 in the forum...
Fucking Boner 999. That guy...
wrong because he said our game is fake. That is crazy. Getting pretty sore to do that voice now. I do think it's funny though, but I don't agree with what he said next on no one caring about whether or not it was delayed.
We just make the game, and when it goes into EA, early access, not EA, not Electronic Arts, and great game, no one will care at all whether or not the game was delayed. And even though some people are clamoring for some kind of rough alpha, it doesn't mean that we've released a rough alpha with one map. It would be received by the public. We weren't going to rush out something unfinished just to make a few people on Discord happy. Okay, but why did you... I like what he's saying here, but why did you show it so early? Why did you show it so early? It was wishlist over 2 million times.
Because hype does die down. He's right, a portion of people, they just won't care. But I think there's a difference between recovering the game and recovering the moment. Because in that moment, they had all eyes on them. Will they have so again? I'm not sure. I hope so. Between last year and the recent demo that has been on display in Shanghai, clearly some work has been put into the game, and we've got several pictures that were uploaded too, stills from the cinematic where it looks like the dev team opening Discord on their phone only to realise that Boner 999 has returned. A few other things such as the build...
That's my point, Water. Right? Water's saying what's funny is they sounded like the game was years from a release, and then even give us a release date on last year, and we're nowhere near ready. Why do it? Why would they do it?
Building tool icons seem to be iterated somewhat, and design choices have been played about with in terms of what direction they're going with it. There's also updates to what looks like a shop where you'll be purchasing weapons and things definitely.
Okay. Hold on a second. The thing up on top is blocking. Okay, we have level 1, upper left-hand corner. Okay, we got level 1. We've got a shield. I don't know if that's like a currency. It looks like a currency. He's got 15,000. There's a silver currency, which I don't know if is that premium currency. Is this going to be a free-to-play game and you have to purchase stuff? Is this a microtransaction, battle pass type of stuff? Because if it is, well, then we got a problem. Then it has a dice and it says 15,005 on it, but it says refresh now with the dice roll. Okay. And it says store refreshes in 3 minutes and 51 seconds. So is this in-game currency, or is this in-game currency slash, real currency? Just wondering. I'm gonna back up here for a second.
And they're going with it. There's also updates to what looks like a shop where you'll be purchasing weapons.
Skill tree, loadout, armory. Okay, game.
And things definitely look like they've been moving
Inventory
on in that front too.
For sale.
The demo itself, though, seems to have been worked on by a dedicated team within a team. So they seem
a dedicated team within a team to make the demo.
Quite committed to bringing a free experience to everyone.
Imagine a group taking a small team to make a demo to sell the game. You can't expect a AAA company to do that. But yet a small team is going to do it.
And that backs up what they were saying before about feeling comfortable charging money. And the World Expo, with the working edition of that, where reports came back that this was actually single player only, when the delay was announced, my immediate concerns were that their multiplayer didn't work. In fact, it might be completely fucked, right? Broken. But I've been in contact with the game director, and he told me that the build that was used in Shanghai actually had full functionality for multiplayer, and he also wasn't sure why they kept it single player, but he mentioned that they did have a 20-minute timer, presumably so the public were cycled in and out.
Yeah, it was at a convention just to pull more people to play so they can get as much information as possible, right?
Fairly. This was very reassuring to hear because I didn't outright ask him for this information specifically. I was wondering it, and seeing how they've already had several playtests behind the scenes and they have been running with multiplayer functionality, we can possibly assume it works a lot better than I first thought. Okay, so we've had the official announcements, we've seen works in progress.
Saint says no way they put micros in this game. I'm not going to say no way. We don't even know what this game is yet.
And even a live demo now, but I still really wanted to know what the reason for not launching was. And without asking, Paul was quite forthcoming to me, saying that, and I quote, the reasons were not technical in nature. Fuck that. They were because the scope of the game increased based on the unexpected and overwhelming fan reaction.
So they put it out there. They got overwhelming fan reaction. They said, oh shit, we can't put out this half-assed product. We got to make an actual game. Is that what they're doing? Right? Let me rewind that. Well, the reasons for the delays were not technical in nature. So the game was almost 80% complete. They are largely because of the scope of the game increased based on the unexpected and overwhelming fan reaction.
The scope of the game increased based on the unexpected and overwhelming fan reaction. If the reasons weren't technical, then the talk of polish in October's announcement was perhaps quite the understatement. Now, with the last game that these devs created being the spiritual successor to Road Rash, the hype here was unreal in comparison to that. So it seems to me like this group of guys just didn't want to launch a nothing burger, but my expectations for what we'd get at launch in 2024, I think they were in check. I think I was saying at the time probably a few weekends of fun, maybe something to check in on every so often to see how it updated. But it sounds like the team are going for something that you can really sink your teeth into. And if that's...
There's probably nothing to it. It was literally guns, blowing people up, doing some really fun stuff, you know what I mean, with your friends, but nothing like would hold you there. They made a TikTok game basically where people can make clips, but they didn't make an actual game. Do you know what I'm saying? So now they're like, oh shit, there's a lot of people interested in this game. We got to put some meat and bones to this thing now.
The case, my hype has officially returned, but my trust is still in early access. I also spoke with another one of the devs on just via DMs, and he goes by the name of Josh, one of the designers, and he also stated that the team are working on the next big announcement with gameplay footage. Once again, though, I didn't get a date. Perhaps they've already got that footage and they sent that soldier back to the 1400s with it. Look, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. From everything I've researched, everything I've seen, everything I've heard, you know what it sounds like to me? It's just my opinion. Sounds like the devs shat their pants when they saw the overwhelming reaction.
I agree.
And what seems important now is trying to recapture that magic. And I think we'll get something this year, at least in the form of the demo, though I've been wrong.
It's going to be the last thing at the Video Game Awards show. And Jeff Keighley's going to be on stage, and he's going to be like, and here's the next thing, Kingmaker. And then we're going to be like, oh, God. Oh, God, no. No. Please, no.
Before an early access release date, though, well, I suppose we can live in the knowledge that if they don't deliver one with their next big announcement and the deep dive gameplay, Boner 999 will be on the case. Don't forget to toss the video a like if you're enjoying the content. Take it easy. Catch you on the next one later.
I've never watched Rag Tagg before.
One of them.
So I like this video. I like his personality. I thought it was entertaining. Yeah, I'm glad he did the information, got all the research done for that, because we were interested, right, chat? We were interested in what this game was. But now when they pulled the rug from underneath us, we're like, what happened to this game? Now we're just kind of like, I don't know. Like, obviously, it's going to be cool to blow up castles and drive tanks through buildings and, you know, kill a whole army of medieval knights with a gun. But at the same time, gaming is fun, and that's going to be a fun. That alone is fun. But now they feel like they're putting some sort of substance in the game. You know, like I said with Pal World, where not that you're collecting stuff, but you're collecting some sort of currency to level up so you can use the AK-47, or you can use a tank, or you can use a chopper. There has to be some sort of leveling system to unlock stuff within the game. Otherwise, it would just be like, oh, I'm just going to drop a tank in and see what... That's going to get boring really fast. It's almost like putting a cheat code in to a game, right? Instead of earning your way up and then doing damage because now you're storming the castle. In the beginning, you would only have a pistol, right? Maybe a bat or something. Right? And then as you progress, you're unlocking newer equipment so you can go up against more people and make it less and less, you know, hard on yourself. And you're like, oh, I got to storm the castle. I need a cannon. I need something to break in. Something has to happen with this game. Otherwise, it's going to be play for a couple hours. You'll be like, yeah, I'm good. All right. Let me bring up Bellular here. Because Bellular's got a video that he showed, and the reason that we're doing this at the end of the show is because it's a newer video, and I really don't like. How do you spell it? It's Bell. Is it ELUR? Yeah, Bellular. ULAR. Okay. Yeah, this is it.
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, let me put this video in the description down below because I didn't add him because I didn't think we were going to have time. So we're going to watch this. All right. This is called They're Devouring Steam. Valve Can't Fight Back. Okay. I watched a couple of minutes of the beginning of this, and he's talking about how people are running with the, you know, a game comes out and then people make a quick game from it, right? We talked about, you know, Pal World coming out and people were like, oh, it's a copycat of Pokemon. And then Pal World became its own thing. And then there's someone copying Pal World, and then there's Mecha Chameleon and stuff like that. A lot of copycats of that. We're also going to talk about because of what he's talking about in this video. People were talking about at Xbox yesterday when we were talking about Game Pass and how Game Pass cannibalizes, games, and they don't make money. Well, because he brings up Roblox in here, and Roblox is much bigger than what Xbox is doing in any way, shape, or form, we'll make a correlation there in a second. All right. So if you guys like it, check out Bellular News. Links in the description down below. Let's get make sure this is at normal speed. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Clone Wars. Don't worry, all will make sense very soon. You have probably seen the streams and the viral clips, you've maybe even played the game yourself. Mecha Chameleon is the latest low-budget indie darling to go viral. And honestly, it's gone so viral that it kind of breaks one's brain to think about. It's almost certainly been this year's best-selling game so far, by which I mean 15 million sales in a month. That's
crazy. 15 million sales in a month, and you know what that means? Copycats as fast as possible. Jump on the hype train, right?
Wild, but it's not the full story, because millions and millions more are playing Mecha Chameleon's gameplay than have ever paid for the game. Not just many millions, in fact, tens of millions of people. And that's because even as pundits
So there's already people making copycats in Fortnite and Roblox and whatnot, and that's taking money away from Mecha Chameleon, right? Now, obviously, if this was Nintendo, they would sue everybody to Kingdom Come.
Games like this is the future of gaming, free of AAA demands. Mecha Chameleon has got a bit of a copycat problem. To understand the copycat problem, we got to actually understand the game being copied here. Mecha Chameleon is prop hunt with a paintbrush. Essentially bone-white stick figures spread out onto the stage, seekers have to find them, and the hiders get a whole Microsoft Paint's worth of drawing tools to recolor their bodies and blend into the environment. It's pretty awesome. The game costs only $6, and it is a wildly...
$6. Now, I'm not interested in this game, right? Because I don't play with a lot of people, so I'm not interested in this game. $6. Now imagine that $6 is too much for you to purchase a game. And people are like, I don't want to buy it for $6. I'm just going to play it in Roblox. I'm just going to go play it here. I'm just going to go play the free version of it here. And now you wonder why people don't want to pay $50, $60, $70, $80, $90, $100 for video games when they don't even want to pay $6 for a video game.
Impressive effort for just 2 Japanese indie devs who cobbled it together from existing assets and systems. And when you look into their history, you can really see that they're adapting to this modern way of making games, where they actually have half a dozen other titles, but they just never really broke through. Of course, this one really did work, and I think we can understand why it worked. It had a lot of viral vectors, those things that just make a game spread. I mean, people really like the creative twist on a prop hunt formula. Of course, that it's people making janky art, well, that means that it's perfect for streaming, and that all means it's now the best-selling game in Steam.
Circana Player Engagement Tracker, US top 10 titles by total weekly active users. Mecha Chameleon repeats at the top of the US charts, of the Steam charts. Okay, number 1, beating Counter-Strike.
Of course, as always, with these party games, the virality and the money do turn into armchair game publishing conversations. And that is our next port of call. So as soon as a game like this succeeds, everyone wants to know how and why so they can do it themselves. Now, speaking to GameWith, the devs explained their fairly bare-bones style. They said that they start with a minimum viable prototype, and then they build on whatever works. And to build this one, they cannibalized their previous multiplayer games, like Link Penguins, to basically get the multiplayer backend up and running. Hosting then ran through Epic Online Services, so that's free, and then they spent a grand total of nothing in marketing. And as a story...
Why does it take 2 guys 2 months to make a game, and then it takes about 1,000 other people to make a copycat of the game, but yet the industry is looking for 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, multi-millions, hundreds of millions, billions of dollars to put into a video game?
This is about as close as indie games get to the platonic ideal. You know, years of modest results, and then the audience latches onto one of your ideas and leaves you basically set for life. We've seen this with, say, games like Among Us, with Peak, with Lethal Company, and as is tradition in gaming, this becomes a competition. Mecha Chameleon is succeeding where massive, big-budget games are...
I gotta say, that's a good hiding spot.
A competition.
That is a very good hiding spot right there. Very good.
Camellia is succeeding where massive big budget games are failing. This is what gamers want. This is the future gamers deserve. Games full of heart and soul and, all the other tropes that turn up whenever we have this type of conversation about a cool new game that goes viral. And of course, there's a kernel of truth in all that. And while many of these games end up being flashes in the pan, they obviously speak to audiences and spark a lot of joy. Except that's not quite the end of this story. You see, the moment you start talking about what audiences want, well, you'd better start looking at the whole audience, because the whole audience is not Steam.
340, right? 340, okay? That's crazy. 340,000 people playing this game.
And as you're about to find out, what Mecha Chameleon is to the biggest AAA publishers, dozens of competitors are to Mecha Chameleon.
Look at this. Look at all these copycats of Mecha Chameleon. 24,000, 9,000, almost 10,000, almost 5,000, 5,000, almost 6,000, another 2,000. This is taking away from Mecha Chameleon, right? How did they make these games so fast? Oh, that's right. They can just make a game inside of Roblox.
Itself. Just not on Steam. Some of you are not playing Mecha Chameleon. Maybe you're playing Paint and Seek, or Paint and Hide, or maybe Paint to Hide. All fun, original twists in the formula. But if you're not playing those, well, the youth around you almost certainly are. And that's because Mecha Chameleon went mega viral in Steam, but Steam is not the only place for gaming. And it is...
Look at this.
...is definitely not the biggest. So, yeah. My fellow millennials, this is going to be grim. This chart is from Roblox.
The Steam game hit 340,000 players on Roblox clone in 3 weeks. Bro. Look at all the games, right? Remember, this game costs $6. But people are like, fuck that. I don't want to play that. I don't want to buy that. So, Paint to Hide, Paint or Seek, and Paint and Seek are all higher. Okay? All of these are higher than Mecha Chameleon right now, right where it is.
Data analytics site.
As of July 4th, by the way.
RoWatcher, and it compares Mecha Chameleon's concurrent player count with the equivalent games over in Roblox. Now, most of these clones that I just mentioned here are the things that come up in Roblox's search if...
Look at this. Look how many clones there are just on Roblox. Now, I don't know if you know this. People are like, oh, well, Xbox is bad. Xbox is stealing money from people, and games can't support themselves. Meanwhile, there's only 30 million people with Game Pass, right? 132 million people daily, right? 132 million people daily played Roblox. But people are worried about Microsoft and Game Pass killing gaming. Meanwhile, 15 clones of one game that costs $6 on Steam is being on Roblox on all platforms.
If you search for Mecha Chameleon, and you can see how quickly the clones arrive, and how quickly they actually start overtaking Mecha Chameleon's Steam player count. It kind of happened within about 3 weeks of launch. Now, each of the clones in that graph has had more than 10 million visits. These games don't even need to be as good...
That's crazy, bro.
...or polished as the already rather scrappy Mecha Chameleon because they're free. There's no $6 entry fee. At least just
imagine that for a second. The $6 is the make or break it for these people. They're like, I don't want to pay $6. I'm going to pay the free version on Roblox.
Start, of course, because these games are often full of Robux spending opportunities. But far more importantly, these games are out shockingly fast. Let me give you some dates. Mecha Chameleon's concurrent peak was at June 21st. Now,
and you think people care about story and graphics and fidelity? I understand Roblox can make games like that, but people just want to play fucking video games, right? And they're not doing anything wrong here, by the way, right? The people that are playing these games are not doing anything wrong. They're just going where they are. And if they're playing Roblox, why am I going to leave Roblox to go play Mecha Chameleon when I can play Mecha Chameleon inside of Roblox?
This is a full 3D game with complex systems, and even with all that, the clones were up on Roblox within a day. Now, that's far faster than this type of thing used to happen, and it's far more predatory to the players who basically hop into these copycat games, because it's not like there haven't been other copycats on, say, Steam. As an example,
Ginger Prime says, what a great line. People just want to play fucking video games. That's right. They don't care how much the price is. They're gonna play the game that they want to play without paying $6. They don't want to play $6, Ginger, right? They just want to play the game where they are, and they're in Roblox. So like, I don't want to even go to the other thing that I can boot up on my PC. I'm just going to play Roblox and play Mecha Chameleon inside of Roblox because they didn't want to pay $6 or move from Roblox.
Chameleon launched on June 9th, and within weeks, Steam started to see updates for Scribble Hunt, a game where you paint the bunny man, a hide-and-seek where you blend in like a chameleon. Not exactly subtle with your keywords there, lads, but it is subtle when compared to what that game calls itself in Korea, where it is just called Mecha Chameleon. Yeah.
They literally call it the same thing. Oh, it's Mecha. Mecha. I got it. I was like, wait a minute.
Now, there's of course a long tradition of copycats in gaming, Doom clones to, say, the mobile store surges around games like, say, Flappy Bird, a game that was generating a clone about every 24 minutes back in 2014. And sometimes the clones do really well, like, say, the battle between Threes and 2048, where the clone completely eclipsed the original. But this here in Roblox doesn't actually seem to be one of those cases. When we look at all these numbers, do we think this ultimately hurts Mecha Chameleon? No, these devs have already made many millions.
Sure. But this is my problem when people say that Xbox and Game Pass hurts gaming, right? There's far worse things. Now see, the AAA space says this because they want to make money. And I get that. Everyone wants to make money. But there's literally only 30 million people playing on Game Pass. And not every game is going to sell 30 million copies. They might sell a couple 100,000 here, a couple 100,000 there. Most of the games on Game Pass, minus the first-party titles, are all getting money up front in some way, shape, or form to go onto Game Pass unless you're a first-party title. Yet, Roblox has the population of the people playing the game making the actual games. They're not paying them anything. They're doing this on their own, and then they can charge for what they want on Roblox, and no one's batting an eye. And there's 132 million people a day, not a month, a day on Roblox playing stuff and doing stuff like this. But yet the game industry guys that work for Xbox in the story that we covered yesterday are saying, well, it's Game Pass is the reason that the video game industry... Look, it doesn't matter what platform you're on. People are going to go where they want to play. They're going to make the game they want to play. Everyone thinks that the AAA space is untouchable and that all these companies, it's just like, no, it'll never fall. There's literally 132 million people playing Roblox and all these other games inside the Roblox community or Minecraft or Fortnite.
In the last month, with a game that absolutely did not cost millions to produce. And it's a game that doesn't need growing player counts or rising concurrence. People can buy it, play it for a few rounds with their friends, enjoy a few evenings, and then that can be that. Happy days, right? Their business model is completely just upfront sales, and on that count.
Roadkill says Game Pass doesn't hurt gaming. Game Pass hurts Xbox and Microsoft because they're giving away too much shit. No. The games on Game Pass that they're not paying to put on Game Pass are hurting themselves because they're not making a game. Most of the games that they put on Game Pass are well over budget, and they make a storefront before they make the actual video game. People just want to play games. That's it. They just want to play games.
They have wildly succeeded. So they're not directly hurt by these copycats, the same way that, say, other games have been hurt. But that graph does show that even as players crown Mecha Chameleon the future of gaming, the people who will...
Think about this, right? Think about how the video game industry is shaping up or changing so fast. Where right now, Pal World's been out for 2 years. That they announced it in 2021, but it's been out for 2 years. Okay, 2024 is when it came out in the beginning of the year, like February or whatever it was. And now it's been 2 years, 2.5 years since it came out. There's already clones of Power, which is a much bigger game than Mecha Chameleon. Okay. But now as the technology, now as the Unreal Engine can make open worlds instantaneously by AI and whatnot, you're going to have a bigger problem in the video game space, because there's going to be a studio that's 1,000 people that are making a game, and it could take them 6 years. And there's going to be 2 guys making a game that can put it out and make 7 games within that time frame than the large company trying to make 1 game to put it out there. Right? And as the first video that we watched with Kingerd talking about how AAA is kind of given up and making remakes and remasters, right? That's what they're going to bank on, because that's the only thing they know that will actually sell, because they want the big ticket items. They want the $100 video game. Okay. Where all these other small guys making video games can be ripped off in 2 seconds because it was easy to make that game because of whatever reason. Maybe they're really good at their job, or because of the tools they used. And then everyone can copy that. But the customer doesn't care. The customer's like, well, I could pay $6 for Mecha Chameleon, support this group, or I could play it for free on Roblox and give someone else 55 cents of Roblox coin, whatever it's called, and I could try it there. 132 million people daily on Roblox. 14 million, 20 million people daily on Fortnite.
Comprise that future are playing in a very, very different...
I'm gonna back up here for a second.
...show that even as players crown Mecha Chameleon the future of gaming, the people who will comprise that future are playing in a very, very different world indeed. At the risk of stating the obvious, everyone playing Mecha Chameleon is playing it on Steam, and Steam is a platform that's huge, but that's also growing rapidly even now. But if you take a look at this, which is Epillion's market share data, turns out we're not so big after all, my.
Non-core markets, advertising, alternative payment channels, external development, and roadblocks.
Fellow PC gamers.
The biggest revenue growth areas in video game.
Market share data, turns out we're not so big after all, my fellow PC gamers. Roblox actually already...
Look at that, dude. We covered this a couple weeks ago. Monthly hours engagement for 2025, 2024 were noted. Okay. 10 billion. The closest after that is Steam at just over 5 billion. Then you have PlayStation, which is at a little less, like 4.2 billion. That's crazy.
Averages more monthly users than Steam. It has more monthly hours than Steam, PlayStation, and Fortnite combined. It's pretty big. And
all of them combined.
Even individual Roblox games are able to...
Look at the individual games. The individual games competing against other games. Grow the Garden, made by a 15-year-old, 13-year-old, or whatever it was. 10 million monthly active users. I'm sorry. That's a billion. Almost a billion, right? That's crazy. Oh, that's 10-month average. 10-month average, almost a billion people. 700 million people playing that game, just that game. And they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
more
8,
players than
9, 10, 11, 12 games within one game of Roblox.
Blizzard Entertainment's entire output put together, or say more than Dota, and they're often trading blows with the likes of, say, Fortnite and Counter-Strike. So they are shockingly high numbers, and that's how Mecha Chameleon can be surpassed in aggregate, even as the devs of the original are adding in, say, maps, so the Mecha Chameleon's getting lots of new content, and of course it's got a Steam Workshop page that's also flooded with more content. You'd think that would make the original by far the best place to go, certainly better than some Roblox knockoff that's full of microtransactions, but
those people don't care. Why? Because they're in Roblox. It's like people in Steam that don't want to go to Epic, right? You know what I mean? You're on a computer. You can just move over to the other launcher, but you don't want to, right? They're in Roblox. It's a culture thing, right? The younger generation, teenagers to younger whatever. My son's never played Roblox. Okay, he plays Minecraft and stuff like that, but people that play Roblox are in that ecosystem. They're in that economy, okay? And that's where they want, because they don't ever have to leave. They don't have to go play Grand Theft Auto. They can play Grand Theft Auto-esque type of game inside there with their friends. And because all their friends are on that platform, it's just more convenient. It's just easier to do.
It does not matter that Mecha Chameleon is way better in Steam with way more content, because most people, most gamers, and I hate to say this, I truly do, most aren't in Steam.
Yeah, but most aren't even on. Most are, they're everywhere, right? Gamers are everywhere. It's not about Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, PC. People play the games they want to play and they stay in that game. There's so many people that just play Call of Duty. They just play Madden. They just play Apex Legends. They just play Minecraft, right? There are so many individuals that are not even counted, right? They just play that type of game and that's it.
New form of gaming has grown around us. Us being, I guess, I think me and like the people who probably watch this channel, we've just been blissfully unaware. And to add to that, it's very much a future audience. Data suggests that 56% of Roblox's users are under 17 and have been playing games there.
There you go. More than half of the people are under 17 years old. And think about this. If they started playing Roblox when they were 12, they've invested 5 years of their life, right? And Roblox has been around for how many years now? 10? So they were 7 maybe when they started playing? They were invested. They're in that ecosystem. And this is not a console. This is a game that is now branched off into so many other things.
For years, even if, of course, that causes endless problems and controversy. Another interesting thing is the location split. It is broadly even across the world. So for the copycat, Steam is obviously just irrelevant. It does not matter. This is an entire new audience, and this, by which I mean free knockoff games and Roblox, well, that is what video games actually are to those people, and right now, they feel no real reason to move.
Right. So why would the person that's playing Roblox or Minecraft or Fortnite or whatever, in these games that there's worlds inside worlds, right? Why would they buy a new console for $900? Why? When they could play on their handhelds and tablets and, and PCs and their consoles. Why would they leave when it's not graphic intense type of stuff? Why would they leave? Why would they need to buy that stuff? Why would they need to buy a $100 video game?
Roblox is still growing fast. The far future of gaming honestly spooks me out a bit, because that's what this graph really shows. We see that as viral sensations come along, the biggest platform in the world spins up alternatives super quick, and those alternatives very quickly serve a far larger audience than the original. There is an element of sheer ingenuity to this, I suppose. You rely on the likes of Steam to sort of find new hits, and then you quickly copy-paste them over, right? And whenever you copy-paste them over, well, you know you're copy and pasting over a winning, proven formula.
Right. And you're just jumping on the bandwagon to try to make as little as money or as much money as possible.
And even better, you're copying it over to a distinct audience that literally doesn't play.
Right. You have a baked-in audience inside of Roblox.
Steam games most of the time. But of course, there is also a question of ability, and this is where I also get spooked. You see, modern tools and systems can get these clones out within a day or two. Roblox's development suite, with the Gen AI stuff behind it, means that these games can be put in front of people unbelievably fast. And since these games are free to play, you get a world of quickly spun up disposable games, all trying to...
God, that word... That just triggered me. It's like the word moist, right? Disposable games. Ugh. Disposable. Oh, God. I don't even know what to say right now, right? It's like looking at a picture and then just taking the picture off the wall like a painting. You're like, it's disposable. You just rip it off the wall and just stick it up another one. Like someone painted that picture, made that thing, but people don't give a shit. They're like, next, right? Oh, so bad.
Get you to spend as much as possible, all building into the hype, while Roblox collects its ground rent on every microtransaction.
As soon as Hightail comes out, and moist disposable games, mostly, as soon as Hightail's done and comes out in like 1.0 in like a year or two, watch how fast that game grows. Hightail is going to do a bell curve, and it's going to be between like Minecraft and a Roblox
purchase. And that's what gaming is to these kids. They get the experience they want, and they get it as fast and cheap as possible, all in the location their friends actually hang out in. And for the most part, it seems they stay in.
It's funny because Facebook, Epic, they want to make the metaverse. These people have made the metaverse without even trying to make the metaverse.
Roblox. So with this, the whole AAA versus indie darling debate doesn't even come into it. Games like Mecha Chameleon prove that there's a market for a great idea, but that doesn't mean that games like that are the future. If you ask me, more likely than not, in terms of revenue, the future is these disposable Roblox games. I mean, I hate that. And I hate what it teaches, because it teaches people that games are disposable. I don't think that's healthy for the...
This is the same argument that the people said that with Game Pass. Game Pass, it makes people think that games are disposable, right? Or they don't have their value. But games on Game Pass have value. You just have to show, like, we've had multiple examples yesterday. We played that Fixer Upper game. I don't even know what the name. I don't care, right? It was terrible. But then there's games like Expedition 33. There's games like Power World, right? There's games that are on Game Pass that actually make it because they actually are a fun game. Then there's other games that put their blood, sweat, and tears into a game, but it's a shit game. That's what it is, right? For whatever reason, it didn't click for people. They're like, maybe it's too slow, maybe it's too fast, maybe it's not good enough, maybe the graphics are not good enough, maybe for what they saw, they're like, I don't know about this, right? There's so many reasons why people like games or don't like games. But if a game takes off, people are like, even if they not interested in that game, they'll give it a shot because other people have given it a shot and they're like, oh, I'll try that out.
Long term of our industry. I think that the more we treat games as disposable junk food entertainment, the less we'll respect what games can do, and maybe the less we'll actually get out of our games. I think our standards will lower. And of course, people need to eat. So as Roblox grows and grows and grows and grows, we are likely going to see more people with game design and development skills making Roblox things, because ultimately, that's where a lot of the upcoming audience is. Of course, the sad part of that is the monetization all relies on Robux, which honestly absolutely sucks. Just a future of disposable games,
That's
stuffed
crazy.
full of microtransactions, doesn't feel great to me. And do you know what it reminds me of? Slack versus Microsoft Teams. There's a bit of a saying that, distribution is everything. And if your opponent's distribution is good enough, it doesn't matter the quality of your product. I mean, Slack is infinitely better than Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is a painful, horrible time. Yet Microsoft Teams absolutely mogged Slack because Microsoft have distribution. Roblox has distribution, and that's going to be not how they come in.
And it's funny because they did it in such a sneaky, not sneaky way. I don't mean sneaky like nefarious sneaky. Just like Roblox is here, and you never thought a game that looks the way it looks would be super successful. Why? Because as an older adult, you look at it and go, well, the shitty graphics. We were conditioned over the years that graphics get better and better, and graphics looking good means good game. And then you have Roblox and you have Minecraft, and you're just like, how are these things, right? When people see cartoons, they're like, oh, that's a kid's thing, right? When people see graphics like that, they're like, oh, that's a kiddie game. Well, 56% of the people that play this are kids under 17. That means 44% are people, right, that are not.
Kill Steam, but it will be how they grow around Steam to the point where Steam just kind of looks like a rounding error. Thankfully, though, Steam does bring in the billions. PC gaming is still absolutely huge, and I think the future, generally speaking, is actually pretty bright for games. I know that may seem a little bit tone deaf right now, but I think that...
Yeah, but see, the kids are playing Roblox on whatever they're given. If their parents have a PlayStation, if their parents have an Xbox, or they bought them that console, that's what they're playing it on.
We're in a little bit of a rotation in the market. There's been bad stuff. There will be more bad stuff. This does tend to happen in markets, and likely a new normal will begin to form. I think we're already seeing glimmers of that on Steam with a sort of new era of games that are being very successful. So our future is bright, but we shouldn't think that the way that we play games is how games are played generally.
Right.
Because if we were to think that, we would be completely wrong, misinformed, and therefore would be less able to understand the world around us. So I hope we've helped you with that today. And if you'd like to hear a fun story that just broke about EA being forced to retreat on some of their bullshit, watch the next video.
Well, there you go. Give it a like, give it a sub. Go to Bellular News. We're going to give it a like here. I like his stuff, but go check out Bellular News. Yeah, it's crazy to see. So I wonder how many people. Let me see if there's a breakdown. Let me see if they have a console. Okay, so Roblox players on console make up a smaller but fast-growing segment of platform's user base. Globally, about 80% of users sign up via mobile, while consoles included PlayStation, Xbox, and MetaQuest accounts are roughly 3%. That's crazy. Right? Mobile users. Roblox concurrent player base. Let me see what this is. This is... No, that's the App Store. App Store's got... Jesus. Holy Christ, it's a billion. Google Play has a billion plus downloads. Oh my God. What's going on, Sweat Dog? Clip says, did you see that Ready or Not type of game that are making the Roblox? That game looks fucking great graphic-wise. Yeah, it's crazy the way people are making stuff inside of Roblox. Look, I told my son, I said, because he likes playing video games and he also likes designing stuff in games. I was like, you should make stuff inside of Roblox. You should make stuff inside of Fortnite. Like, what do you have to lose? Right? You start designing stuff in these things and you can make some money off of this. Right? You don't have to become rich and famous, but you could make a game and have people play it with inside a game itself. All right, we talked about a lot of stuff today. We watched a lot of videos. We watched Kingerd. We watched Rag Tagg. We watched Fake Wizard. And we watched Bellular News. It was a video-filled day. There was rumors that the Grand Theft Auto trailer was going to drop. Is that today? Is that tomorrow? I have no idea. When it does drop, we'll probably watch it. No, we will watch it on stream. If we're live, we'll watch it. Ray says the new limiting factor is storage. 90% of the phone only have 128 gigabytes of storage. If you install Fortnite or Ginshi, you're full. Roblox lets you have infinite amount of games. Yeah, another great example there, Ray, of why people like it. My best friend, his family, he's got a daughter who's now 15. She's been playing Roblox, I want to say about 5-6 years. That's where I found about Roblox. She showed me the stuff that they created, right? His son and his daughter would show me like the stuff they created inside the game and different things. And I looked at it and I went, I can't look at this. I was like, I don't know what this is. But they showed me what they did and I was just like, oh, that's cool, right? It reminded me of what Second Life was doing back in the day, 20 some odd years ago. Right? I'm not interested in it, but I understand it's there. Ron says Concord with roadblocks, make it happen. I bet you it's in there. I bet you a Concord type of game is in Roadblocks, and I bet you it's got way more people playing it. Yes, that's what it is, Travis. Yeah, that's the one. Now, I would assume there's people like that in games in general. But there's, I think, a more abundance of people in there. I don't care if it's real or fake. PS5, I'm going to wait. When it shows up, we'll look at it. You know what I mean? Let me see what else is going on Twitter before we we head off for the day. Spider-Man Brand New Day final trailer. Well, I guess that's out. I don't know if I want to watch it. I don't want to know too much. Division 2 has the Dust Storm event is now live. I think Mr. Luke sent me that video yesterday. The video doesn't really show much. It just shows, guy coming out of it's like the heat wave coming or whatever. So there's an event going on. I don't know if that's the storm in Division 1 where they had the snow, but now it's heat. Why is there ninjas and Spider-Man? Because they got the Foot Clan from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to come in. Yeah, the heat wave thing. New event in storming into the town. The Dust Storm event is bringing more heat. All right, let's see what this full details. Maybe some of you guys are interested in Dust Storm event, creator collaboration. Let's see. You got the login from July 21st to August 11th. Whoever created this with this white font on the background, you should be fired. You should be fired. As part of a celebration, access of Warlords to New York expansion will be free for all players for the duration of the event. The event participation will require a character level 40 to completion of Warlords New York campaign. Dust Storm New York experienced turbulent dust storms, obscuring targets' visibility and ramping up attention, hiding the risk and hidden enemies within the two variations of the storm effects. The Calm Dust Storm is the default weather system upon loading into New York City or New York map, obscuring sightlines, keeping up on your toes. The Calm Dust Storm lasts up to 18 minutes before intensifying. Note, this is a timer will restart upon each login. Raging Dust Storm. A Raging Dust Storm kicks things up a notch, further eliminating visibility of buffering agents and intense wind noises, distorts your for tense 8-minute window. This provides a perfect cover of constant ambush from squads and enemy dust devils. After the Raging Dust Storm has passed, the weather may return to either a calm storm state or a brief reprise of clear, sunny weather to allow you to get your bearings and prepare for the next fight. Okay. The Dust Devils are a group of Rikers that saw a perfect opportunity to seize the chaos of the storm and use it to their own gains. Dust Devil kill squads spawn a 6-minute timer in groups of 4 named enemies and will actively hunt you down. The Dust Devils are using a storm to their advantage with the multiple modifiers, so be sure to close the gap. Status resistant modifiers, 80% of status resistance, decreased damage dealt. You got increased damage dealt as well. Plan your attack carefully and make the positioning of the maximize effectiveness of the close range tools. Okay, you got backup arrives, causing enough trouble in the Dust Devils. You can call in a big guns once you defeat enough enemies and near the threshold of 50 kills. For a boss spawn, you will receive a prompt to call in backup. Make your preparations, and event bosses are on their way. You got Pal hides in the storm as a sniper using sniper turret and decoy tech while also being invisible to pulse scanning. Black Lung acts as a tank using the LMG to lay down heavily fire and suppose the artillery turret. Both bosses will spawn simultaneously for groups and solo players. Pal and Black Lung can spawn in weather conditions so long as the Dust Devils named enemies kill their threshold of 50 enemies. Named enemies is reached. Upon being defeated, each boss will drop a storm key as well as unique mask on the first defeat. Just whether or not you have been changed, the storms has brought a new environmental decoration, integrity cache. Throughout the New York map, you also encounter 20 hidden caches of loot split amongst the decorated areas. Destroy them to be rewarded with the actual game gear and also within the event vendor gear caches. Dust Devils will appear. These caches allowing them to be interacted with again after each daily reset. Keep your ears open, okay? Rumors have reached the SHD. Dust Storm will also hide even greater threat attacking once the Raging Dust Storm has subsided. This is what you're getting. You got community cache, apparel cache, gear cache, and personal milestones. Classified assignments. Our newest classified assignment, Macmillan Reservation Assault, launches on July 21st. Responded to distress signal from the fellow agents. Negative faction war between the True Sons and the Hyenas. You got a free rotation, celebrate a new release. There's also beginning a rotation of free access to classified assignments each week. Realism mode comeback. Realism mode returns, running a duration of Dust Storm event. For those that missed the first time around, Realism mode is a limited time experience that lets you enter New York and see what it means to operate Division Access agent in more grounded, unforgiving way. Every decision matters. Okay. So there you go. If you guys looking for some Division, haven't gone back in a while, there you go. There's something to go back to. I don't care. I don't care. But maybe one of you guys would be like, oh, that sounds cool. All right. Let me see what you guys are saying. Guys talking about Pokemon. Beast of Reincarnation is a Game Freak game. I'm interested. Yeah, it's coming out and it's on Game Pass. So hold up. If the game fails, it's because of Game Pass. But if the game succeeds, it's not because of Game Pass, right? So it's on Game Pass. Hopefully it's a good game and people like it and then people play it and buy it. All right. It's 12:23. We will be back tonight for Pow World over on 30 and Still Gaming. Playing some more Pow World this evening. Other than that, we'll be back tomorrow for the Daily Grind. I do appreciate you very much. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Don't forget, we do the Fake Wizard News on Wednesday nights, 7 p.m. And then we do Shooting the Shit with Sarge Wednesday nights over on 30 and Still Gaming. And then we do the GXG podcast, episode 497, I think is this week, for GXG. You guys can go down in the description. There's a apparel store with brand new shirts for the 500th episode. If you guys are interested in that, there's hats, there's mugs, there's shirts, there's sweaters. Appreciate it very much. You can also check out our music over on Spotify, iHeart, Pandora. You can download, you can stream it, you can purchase it. It's all there. I appreciate it very much, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Yeah. There's a difference. Not all money is the same. Listen up. Hey, yo, what customer is earned, that's respect on the line. They don't drop a single dollar till your product is refined. They're checking quality, value, the service, the vibe. If you treat them like it matter, they'll stay with you for the ride. But a consumer, man, they buying on impulse. No standards, no questions, they don't care what the bill does. Bad game, bad merch, wrong size, doesn't matter. They keep paying every time like their wallets on auto scatter. Whoa.